Chapter 2203, Chapter 2203, Fishing in Troubled Waters? Chapter 2203, Chapter 2203 Fishing in Troubled Waters. If they hadn't killed the 4 high-stage true emperors, the people from the heaven realm might not have been a match for the evil god race. But now he had completely suppressed his opponent. The members of the evil god tribe were being killed one after another. The evil god tribe's people roared in anger, but it was useless. A few high-stage true emperors were also killed by the heaven realm's experts. More than 100 members of the evil god race were all killed. Then the experts from the heaven realm began to bombard the gate of the castle. Boom, boom, boom. The castle's gate kept exploding and the light covering it flickered. It was much dimmer than before and it looked like it was going to be destroyed soon. Let's go there in disguise. Ming sent a voice transmission to dandan. Just what one wanted. dandan nodded, her eyes flashing coldly. They did not want to let others take advantage of them, especially when LAN Yun and Yanxi were among them. The two of them changed their appearance drastically. They changed their clothes and became completely different people. Then the two of them flew towards the castle. Who is it? Someone noticed them and looked at them. It's our own people, our own people. dandan quickly called out. Seeing that they weren't from the evil god race, everyone was relieved. If it wasn't the evil god tribe, it was naturally the people from the heaven realm. LAN Yun's gaze also swept toward Ming and dandan. I thought it was Ming and the other two. Turns out that it's not them. What a pity. Otherwise I would have crippled them this time. LAN Yun muttered. This time the LAN family had sent another expert. With an advanced true emperor, he was full of confidence. As long as he met Ming and dandan, he would definitely make them regret it. The moment he thought of being beaten up so miserably by dandan, LAN Yun's hatred went crazy. LAN Yun did not avoid it and Ming and dandan heard him clearly. Crick. dandan gritted her teeth and rolled her eyes. Ming knew that dandan must be up to no good and was thinking of how to deal with LAN Yun. Boom, boom. At this moment, the gate of the castle kept shaking and making a loud noise. It's going to be blasted apart. Let's put in more effort. Many people shouted and attacked with even more effort. Heaven realm trash die. At this moment, a furious roar came from the distance. Rays of purple light streaked across the sky and rushed over. They were people from the evil god tribe. Furthermore, their numbers were extremely shocking. There were more than 100 of them. They were all experts and their bodies were covered in purple scales. Previously, Ming had learned from dandan. The evil god tribe was also divided into different levels. The black-scaled evil god tribe was the most ordinary evil god tribe. Their status was also the lowest, and their combat strength was also relatively weak. As for the purple-scaled evil god race, they were the aristocrats of the evil god race, and their strength was far above that of the black-scaled evil god race when they were at the same level. Above the purple-scaled evil god race, there was the even more noble evil god race, such as the royal race of the evil god race. Their battle prowess was even stronger, and they were almost invincible in a battle of the same level. However, they were extremely rare. The expressions of the people from the heaven realm changed. Quick, blast open the door. Someone roared. Almost everyone attacked, and beams of brilliant light bombarded the castle gate. Boom. With an explosion, the light of the castle gate was destroyed and the gate opened. Charge in. The people of the heaven realm rushed into the gate one after another. Kill. Behind them, the evil god tribe had also arrived. They followed closely behind the heaven realm's body cultivators and rushed through the gate. Ming and dandan followed the crowd and rushed into the door. As soon as they entered the gate, they were not inside the castle as they had imagined, but a vast hill with no end in sight. It was like a small world. Behind the castle there was a small world. Kill. Behind them, the evil god tribe had arrived, and the two groups of people were engaged in an intense battle. Ming and dandan mixed in with the crowd and made a symbolic move to fight with the two evil god race members. Ming did not even make a move. He hid behind dandan because if he made a move, many of the laws would be exposed. Hundreds of people from both sides were killing each other. It was extremely tragic. Experts were killed from time to time and fell in this area forever. Ming discovered that there were experts beside LAN Yun and Yanxi. They were very powerful and were advanced true emperors. Obviously, the LAN family and the Yen family were both terrifying forces in the heaven realm. They had even sent a high-level void emperor. One must know that it was very dangerous for a high-level void emperor to enter this place. If they were unlucky, they would die. If they were sent in, they had to be prepared to die. If they were not strong or had a deep foundation, they would not dare to do so. Bus. Just as the two sides were fighting, blood-red figures rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He saw that the blood-red figures were in both human and beast forms. After they rushed over, they immediately pounced on the Heaven Realm and the evil god tribe. A huge blood-colored wave also pounced toward Lu Ming. Dandan appeared and kicked the blood-red giant wolf away. "It's a puppet," said Dandan. At the same time, Lu Ming could tell that it was a puppet. It was a strange puppet that was filled with killing intent. Its entire body was blood-red, and it even reeked of blood. Moreover, they were not afraid of death and continued to pounce on the people from both sides. The Heaven Realm and Evil God Tribe's experts could only stop fighting and focus on dealing with these blood puppets. Bang, bang, bang. One after another, the crimson puppets were destroyed. Not long after, most of the blood-colored puppets that had charged over were finally killed. However, there were also dozens of corpses left behind from the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Tribe. The two sides gathered in a corner, sizing each other up with cold killing intent. However, he didn't make a move. It was very likely that this was a small world left behind by an unparalleled expert. It was possible that there would be a great opportunity. Both sides had the same thought. He would first search for treasures and obtain opportunities, then kill the other party. Let's go. The first to move was the Evil God Tribe. They rushed forward in the left direction and disappeared into the hills. Then the people from the Heaven Realm also moved. They rushed forward along the right side. Lu Ming and Dandan followed in the middle of the crowd. Roars could be heard from time to time. There were some blood puppets moving between these hills. As soon as they saw living creatures, they would pounce at them, but they were defeated one by one. After moving forward for a distance, he still didn't find anything. Let's split up. This way, the chances of us getting an opportunity will be higher. LAN Yun was the first to speak. The others nodded in agreement. Then, the Heaven Realm's people split into groups and moved forward in different directions. LAN Yun and Yen Shi led the experts of the LAN and Yen families and headed in one direction. Both of their families had sent their experts. There were high and low-level true emperors. They were very confident and didn't want to go with the others. Let's follow them, Dandan said in a low voice. Lu Ming and Dandan quietly followed LAN Yun. They did not notice at all that they were behind Yen Shi and the rest. Chapter 2204. Chapter 2204, Help? Chapter 2204. Chapter 2204. Help. The world behind the castle looked like a small world. The gate of the castle was the entrance. It was also very desolate inside, with not a single blade of grass growing. There were also some crimson puppets scattered around. LAN Yun and Yen Shi brought their family members and gathered together. There were about 20 of them and there were many experts. Along the way they killed many crimson puppets. At the same time he also saw a few skeletons. However, they all belonged to the evil god race and there were no treasures left behind. These guys still want to deal with us. Unforgivable. They dare to go after my plan. Behind him, he gritted his teeth, his eyes flashing with cold light. Lu Ming touched his nose. He thought to himself, they have been bullied so badly by you. It's no wonder they want to take revenge. However, Lu Ming was also thinking of how to get rid of LAN Yun and the rest without anyone knowing. He knew that Dandan was thinking of a plan and immediately asked, "What idea do you have?" "Let's lure the evil god race over and let them fight amongst themselves. What do you think?" Dandan suggested. "Great minds think alike. Let's go," he said. Lu Ming smiled. Then the two heroes sneaked in the direction of the evil god tribe. The two of them completely concealed their auras and carefully avoided the blood puppets. Not long after, they saw a group of evil god tribe members, bastard of the evil god race, die. Dandan let out a loud roar and rushed over. Even from a distance, she clapped her hands repeatedly, and countless runes condensed into a few sword lights that slashed toward the evil god race. 2 high-level void emperors and 1 one-star true emperor were killed instantly. From afar, Lu Ming took out the fallen star bow and shot 2 arrows consecutively, killing 2 evil god tribes void thearchs. Heaven realm trash kill? The evil god tribe was enraged. There was a blood feud between the 2 races and they would not rest until one of them was dead. Now, Lu Ming and Dandan actually dared to take the initiative to kill their people. They were simply courting death. Instantly, the group of evil god tribe members charged toward Dandan and Lu Ming. "Run!" Dandan shouted loudly, turned around and ran. 6 divine wings appeared behind him, and his speed was astonishing. As for Lu Ming, he had already put away the fallen star bow and spread out his 6 feathered divine wings. He flew rapidly in the direction of LAN Yun and the others. Not long after, he saw LAN Yun and the others. "LAN Yun, quickly come and help us. Let's kill those evil god race bastards together." Ming and dandan shouted and rushed toward LAN Yun and the rest. LAN Yun and the others were carefully exploring when they suddenly heard a few shouts. Looking towards the source of the sound, LAN Yun immediately wanted to curse. He saw Ming and dandan shouting and rushing over. Behind them there was a group of evil god tribe members. There were more than 20 of them. "You guys, quickly get lost," LAN Yun bellowed. Naturally, he did not recognize Ming and his partner as they had disguised themselves. Ming and dandan did not seem to have heard LAN Yun's words. They continued to shout and rush towards LAN Yun and the rest. When he rushed into LAN Yun's group, dandan shouted, "Kill that evil god race bastard. You're the ones who will die." The members of the evil god tribe roared in anger and started to attack. In their opinion, the people of the heaven realm were all in the same group. Immediately, 2 of the LAN clan's illusionary thearchs were killed by the evil god tribe. The LAN family and Yen family had no choice but to fight back and fight against the evil god race. However, the LAN family and the Yen family had indeed sent many experts. There was 1 advanced true emperor each, and they were all 6-star true emperors. On the evil god tribe side, there was only 1 6-star true emperor and 2 other 5-star true emperors. They were suppressed by them in an instant. The battle between the 2 sides was unusually brutal, and people were constantly killed. Ming and dandan flickered in the crowd at an astonishing speed, avoiding the attacks. In the end, the Yen clan and the LAN clan's top forces were even stronger. A 6-star true emperor had killed 2 5-star true emperors of the evil god tribe. Then he joined forces with another 6-star true emperor to kill the 6-star true emperor of the evil god tribe. In the end, the 6-star true emperor of the evil god tribe was killed even though he was seriously injured. As soon as the 6-star true emperor died, he was no longer able to resist and scattered. The experts of the LAN family and the Yen family chased after him and killed him. In this battle they had killed all the evil god tribe members. However, the LAN and Yen families had also suffered heavy losses. More than 10 of them had died in battle, and a few of them were heavily injured. Even the 6-star true emperor had been severely injured and had been counterattacked by the evil god tribe before his death. LAN Yun's and Yen Zai's faces were so dark that they were about to drop. They looked at Ming and dandan with murderous intent in their eyes. It was all Ming and dandan's fault. If the 2 of them had not brought the evil god race, they would not have suffered such a great loss. At this time, figures flickered not far away, and people from the other heaven realms rushed over. They had obviously heard the sound of fighting and rushed over. "Thank you for saving us. Otherwise we would have been in danger. We, the people of heaven realm, should help each other." Before LAN Yun and the others could speak, dandan had already spoken. With 1 sentence she tied them together, making it difficult for LAN Yun and the others to flare up. LAN Yun and Yen, she felt a tightness in their chest and almost vomited blood. Dandan was the first to express her gratitude and tie them all to the heaven realm. There was a rule in Two World City that on the battlefield, the creatures of the heaven realm were not allowed to kill each other. They had to fight against the enemy together. They really could not find a reason to deal with Ming and dandan. Furthermore, there were other people coming. "You 2 stay away from us." LAN Yun gritted his teeth as he spoke. He then ordered people to keep the storage bracelets left behind by the evil god race's people and left this place. "What a pity, what a pity," dandan sighed. It was a pity that the evil god tribe's people were unable to kill LAN Yun and the others. Ming also felt that it was a pity. "Why don't we try again?" Ming sent a voice transmission to dandan. "You've turned bad, kid. But one like it." Eee. Dandan had a wicked smile on her face. Immediately, the 2 of them sneakily followed behind LAN Yun and the others. This time LAN Yun and the rest were much more cautious. They looked around, but Ming and his partner's technique of concealing their aura was too brilliant. They did not notice them at all. After secretly observing for a while, the 2 of them rushed toward the evil god tribe. After a while, the 2 of them rushed towards LAN Yun's group while yelling and shouting, "Nest, it's you guys again. Fuck." As soon as LAN Yun saw Ming and the rest, he immediately broke out in curses because he was really very angry. After that, LAN Yun and the others also turned around and ran. This time they were no longer fools. "Nest, he actually ran away. Help." Dandan screamed and chased after LAN Yun and the rest with Ming at top speed. "You guys get lost," LAN Yun roared at the 2 of them. "We're all from the heaven realm, but you guys just watched us die." Ming roared. "Don't drag us down with you if you want to die." LAN Yun bellowed. "Help. Dandan and Lu Ming chased after LAN Yun and the others relentlessly, followed by a wave of evil god tribe members. All of their eyes were red, and they wished they could tear Dandan, Lu Ming and the others into pieces. Chapter 2205. Mulan Jian feiliu. Chapter 2205. Mulan Jian feiliu. LAN Yun, Yanxi, and the rest were running wildly in front while Lu Ming and Dandan were chasing after them. Behind them was a string of evil god tribe powerhouses. The three groups of people were all very fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had crossed a large forest. The commotion here finally attracted the attention of others, and a group of people flew over. It was the other people from the heaven realm. When they saw the evil god race, they started charging over. When the evil god race saw that the heaven realm experts had increased in number, they did not dare to give chase anymore. They turned around and ran. What a pity! Dandan sighed unceasingly. It was truly a pity that they didn't cause LAN Yun and the others any losses this time. You guys, you're looking for death. At this moment, LAN Yun was extremely furious. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he led his men and charged towards Lu Ming and Dandan. What do you want? You want to attack your own people on the battlefield? Dandan immediately shouted. You've brought the evil god tribe's people to charge at us time and time again. One suspect that you're doing this on purpose. You're trying to frame us? LAN Yun said coldly. Bullshit. Daddy here has a grudge with the evil god race. When I saw the evil god race, one didn't want to let them off. That was why one went to kill them. However, there were simply too many of them, so we could only run. To think that we would meet you guys twice. This shows that we are fated. Dandan began to lie through her teeth and talk nonsense. However, the other party could not refute this reason. Was it wrong to kill the evil god race? Was it wrong to run away when you couldn't win? It just so happened to run to LAN Yun's side, so they could only blame their bad luck. You, LAN Yun, Yanxi and the others were tongue-tied and speechless. They were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Their eyes were wide and round. They could not wait to cut Lu Ming and Dandan into pieces. However, now that there were other people from the heaven realm, it was not appropriate for them to do so. Let's go. In the end, LAN Yun and the others were helpless and could only bring their people and leave this place. It seems like this trick won't work. These guys have learned their lesson. After muttering to himself, the two of them moved forward and began to search the area. Look, there's something unusual over there. Suddenly Lu Ming looked ahead. There, he could vaguely see a red light jumping around. It was unusually bright and dyed half the sky red, like fresh blood. Buzz. Whoosh. Obviously, the others had also noticed the abnormality and flew in that direction. Red light is everywhere. There's a treasure. Let's go. Dandan's eyes were burning, and the two of them also flew towards that area. From other directions, there were also streaks of rainbow light flying over. This was the direction that the Heaven Realm's experts were searching in. Hence, no experts from the evil god tribe were rushing over. In front of them there was a huge and majestic mountain. On one side of the mountain, there was a cliff that was thousands of meters high. The red light was coming from the bottom of the cliff. Everyone flew to the bottom of the cliff and found a pool there. The pool was not filled with water, but a bright red liquid like fresh blood. In the pool, there was a figure sitting cross-legged, covered in a bright red liquid, but his appearance could still be seen. A beautiful woman. Mulan. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He had never expected to meet Mulan here. Mulan was either cultivating or receiving some kind of inheritance. A small blood-red pagoda was suspended above her head, exuding a vast pressure. It was high and mighty like the might of the heavens. Without a doubt, this small pagoda was definitely a supreme treasure. Treasure, this is definitely a treasure. Many people's eyes were burning with greed. It was the same for Dandan. She was almost drooling as she stared at the small tower. This is the treasure of a powerful existence. Dandan muttered, her eyes shining. She's my friend. Lu Ming quickly sent a voice transmission to Dandan, causing her face to fall. However, at this moment LAN Yun, Yanxi and the others could no longer hold back. This treasure is mine. It's mine. One figure after another rushed out toward Mulan, trying to grab the blood-red tower above her head. Damn it! Lu Ming shouted angrily. He wanted to save her, but it was too late. Buzz. Suddenly the sound of a sword rang. On the cliff behind the blood pool there was a cave. The sound of the sword came from the cave. Then, a sword light flew out of the cave at an amazing speed like a ray of light. A few of them with low cultivation were directly cut in half by the sword light and died on the spot. The others were also blocked by the sword light. Buzz. The next moment, A figure appeared beside Mulan with a crystal-clear long sword floating above his head. Jian feiliu. Lu Ming was once again dumbfounded. The person who appeared next to Mulan was a young man with dashing eyebrows and heroic eyes. He was extremely handsome. It was Jian feiliu, whom Lu Ming had not seen for many years. Back when Lu Ming was wandering in Nine Dragons, Jian feiliu was severely injured by the Wang family and the other family's geniuses. His cultivation was crippled. Later, he entered the blood pool and was taken away by a mysterious person under the blood pool. It was suspected that he was the remnant soul of an expert. It had been many years since they last met. He didn't expect Jian feiliu to still be alive. Not only could he cultivate, but his cultivation had also reached an amazing level. The people he had just killed were all martial sovereigns. Treasure, another treasure. Dandan looked at the long sword above Jian feiliu's head with shining eyes. Buzz. The long sword trembled slightly and emitted a fluorescent light. A terrifying sword chi whistled and shot into the sky. This was definitely a peerless sword. It was mostly thanks to this sword that Jian feiliu was able to block so many experts with one sword. The others were also staring at the long sword above Jian feiliu's head with burning eyes. Brat, who are you? How dare you kill our people? People of Heaven Realm can't kill each other on the battlefield. Kneel down and surrender. LAN Yun shouted. I'm not from Two World City. Jian feiliu said coldly. Moreover, you were the ones who wanted to attack me without any explanation. Can't you see that my friend is currently accepting the inheritance? He's still trying to quibble after killing someone. Take him down. LAN Yun roared. His eyes were burning with fire as he kept turning the long sword above Jian feiliu's head and the small tower above Mulan's head. This was definitely a rare treasure, a treasure left behind by an ancient powerhouse. Wait a moment. At this moment, Lu Ming roared loudly. Everyone stopped and Lu Ming dashed out. It's you. What do you want to do? After LAN Yun saw Lu Ming, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Previously, Lu Ming and Dandan had brought the evil god tribe to their place and caused them to suffer heavy losses. He had been thinking about it. Dandan quickly set up the formation. Lu Ming first sent a voice transmission to Dandan. Dandan nodded and sneakily walked around. With every step she took, countless runes sank into the ground. Lu Ming's gaze swept across LAN Yun and the rest. Then he pointed at Jian feiliu and Mulan and sneered. I can tell that these two are humans. They are our people. It's too much for you to steal the treasures of your own people. Chapter 2206. Chapter 2206. Reveal your true appearance. Chapter 2206. Chapter 2206. Reveal your true appearance. Lu Ming's words made many people's eyes flicker. However, the fire in some people's eyes did not fade at all, such as LAN Yun, Yanxi, and a few others. What's too much? These treasures must have been left behind by peerless experts from ancient times. These two are so young, so how can they unleash the power of these treasures? I'm going to keep these treasures and hand them over to the experts in Two World City. Only in the hands of those experts will these treasures be able to display their brilliance and be used against the evil god tribe. LAN Yun sneered and quibbled. What a joke. Since when have we Heaven Realm experts stooped so low as to snatch away the opportunities and treasures of the younger generation in order to deal with the evil god race? If that's the case, we'll never be a match for the evil god tribe. Lu Ming sneered in response, full of sarcasm. This LAN Yun was obviously greedy and wanted to take the treasure, but he found such a grand reason. What a joke. Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, some of them looked ashamed and took a few steps back. They seemed to be hesitating whether to make a move. Mulan and Jian feiliu were obviously humans. They had clearly violated the rules of Two World City by attacking humans and snatching their treasures in the ancient battlefield. However, there were still some people who were clearly unwilling to give up, and the greed in their eyes became even stronger. Brat, it's no use even if you have a glib tongue. It's a waste to give these treasures to them. It's such a waste of heavenly resources. Today, I'll definitely take these treasures and give them to the experts of Two World City. LAN Yun continued, not backing down in the slightest. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. This LAN Yun was really despicable and shameless. LAN Yun, since you say so, then hand over all the treasures and various resources on you. Those treasures and resources are also a waste on trash like you, so it's better to give them to stronger people to use. Lu Ming sneered. What did you just say? Killing intent burst out from LAN Yun's eyes. Lu Ming actually called him trash. I said you're a piece of trash. Can't you hear me? Hand over all your treasures and resources to me. It's a waste to give them to you anyway. Lu Ming added. Haha, what a joke. So you're saying that you're very strong? LAN Yun laughed out loud. He was a top-notch Heaven's Pride expert in the Heaven realm. Before he became an emperor, he was a son of Heaven. Lu Ming actually called him trash. Brat, you provoked me first. If I don't break your 4 limbs today, my name isn't LAN Yun. LAN Yun shouted angrily. If it's not blue cloud, then green cloud will do. There's a patch of green on top of my head. Lu Ming was talking nonsense with him mainly to stall for time so that dandan could set up the array. At this moment, dandan was quietly shuttling through the crowd, and one rune after another was buried into the ground. Brat, I'm going to cripple you. LAN Yun was so furious that he pounced toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming cast the 6-feathered divine wings and a pair of transparent wings appeared. In a flash he dodged LAN Yun's attack. Buzz. Whoosh. LAN Yun launched a storm-like attack. However, Lu Ming's 6-feathered divine wings were too fast, and he dodged all of LAN Yun's attacks. Lu Ming did not fight back. Naturally, he was stalling for time to buy time for dandan to set up the array. In the blink of an eye, LAN Yun had made hundreds of moves, but he did not touch Lu Ming at all. Many people were shocked. He did not expect Lu Ming to be so powerful. He was completely fine under LAN Yun's violent attacks. Didn't you say it was very strong? If you have the ability, then fight me head-on. LAN Yun bellowed. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him and continued to dodge with his movement technique. After dozens of moves, the blue cloud still did not touch Lu Ming at all. LAN Yun 111 help you. At that moment, Yan Shi dashed out and launched an attack at Lu Ming. LAN Yun and Yan Shi were both 3-star illusionary emperors. Moreover, both of them were top geniuses of the Heaven realm. They had mastered one of the strongest laws and had cultivated it to the 2nd realm. In addition, they had also mastered other laws. Their strength was very shocking. The two of them joined forces and attacked Lu Ming from 2 directions. It was not so easy for Lu Ming to dodge them completely. Boom. LAN Yun, who was behind Lu Ming, struck out a palm. This palm was as fast as lightning and as swift as thunder. Its power was shocking. At the same time, Yan Shi also launched an attack. He slashed out layers of saber light, which enveloped Lu Ming in 3 directions. In this case, Lu Ming had nowhere to run. Lu Ming, I'm done. At this moment, a voice entered Lu Ming's ears. It was dandan. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. Boom. At that moment, the aura on his body burst forth. 7 types of laws glowed with different lights and flickered on Lu Ming's body. A giant hammer appeared in Lu Ming's hands. This was his original divine power, the Hammer of Chaos. Boom. 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 Lu Ming swung his hammer 4 times in a row, blasting in all directions. Immediately, the saber light that Yan Shi was slashing at Lu Ming shattered. His body trembled violently and he retreated continuously. Boom. One of the hammers struck LAN Yun's palm, erupting with a massive boom. LAN Yun's body also trembled and retreated. It's you? The primordial realm's peerless trash, you're Lu Ming. LAN Yun roared. Lu Ming attacked with all his might, and 7 types of laws burst forth. LAN Yun immediately recognized Lu Ming. What? A peerless trash body of the primordial realm? It's him. At the scene, many people reacted. Back then, when the prodigies who went to the primordial realm returned, they said that a peerless cripple had appeared in the primordial realm. He hadn't even become a sovereign, but he had already mastered 2 supreme laws and many king path laws. This matter had spread widely among the Heaven realm's prodigy circle, and many people had heard of it. Jian feiliu had the biggest reaction. His body shook and he looked at Lu Ming with bright eyes. He was shocked by the 2 words Lu Ming. Haha, that's me, your grandpa. Lu Ming laughed heartily, revealing his true appearance. Seeing Lu Ming's face, Jian feiliu's eyes lit up. He was shocked, surprised, and in disbelief. He had come to the Heaven realm and acknowledged a terrifying expert as his master. His cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds over the years, and he had made rapid progress. Naturally, his vision had also become much higher, far from what it was before. But he never expected that a friend he made in the divine wilderness continent's East Baron would be able to come here. At the same time, his combat strength was also shockingly strong. This was really out of his expectations. Brother Lu, let me help you. Jian feiliu shouted as the long sword above his head kept buzzing. No need. You protect senior sister Mulan. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, you've killed a member of the LAN family. You'll pay the price today. There's no need to talk about rules with such a person. LAN Yun roared and asked the other members of the LAN family to attack. At that moment, the true emperor from the LAN family moved. He exploded with a terrifying aura and pressed down on Lu Ming. Shameless guy, watch me. At this moment, Dandan shouted and waved her hands, and dense runes appeared on the ground. The runes condensed into chains. Each chain was as thick as an arm, and they swept towards the experts of the LAN family. Chapter 2207. Chapter 2207, Abusing LAN Yun again. Chapter 2207. Chapter 2207 Abusing LAN Yun again. Dandan made her move. She controlled the formation and formed chains that bound the experts of the LAN and Yen families. Those figures at the empty Emperor realm could not resist at all. They were bound by the chains and could not move no matter how much they struggled. LAN Yun and Yen Shi were also entangled. "It's you deserve to die." LAN Yun bellowed in rage. He recognized Dandan and his eyes turned red. They struggled madly, but it was of no use. They were tightly bound by the chains. Boom. Boom. The LAN family's true emperor struggled madly, trying to break free. However, a low-level true emperor wasn't of much use. The chains were getting tighter and tighter. Relying on numbers to win, is it? Let's see how you're going to win by numbers. Lu Ming stepped on the air and walked toward LAN Yun and the rest. "Lu Ming, you dare to touch me?" LAN Yun bellowed. "Even now you still dare to be so arrogant. You're really stupid." Lu Ming came to the top of LAN Yun's head and stomped on LAN Yun's face. Bang. LAN Yun's face was firmly stepped on by Lu Ming, leaving a shoe print. All. LAN Yun roared in embarrassment and anger. The last time he was stepped on by Dandan, his face exploded and his teeth flew out. Now that his injuries had recovered, he was stepped on by Lu Ming again. Since he was young, he had always been a proud son of the heavens. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? However, during this period of time, in just a few days, he had been continuously stepped on the face. He really wanted to vomit blood. "What are you shouting for? It's really fucking unpleasant to hear." Lu Ming was filled with disdain and stepped on LAN Yun's face again. This kick directly caused LAN Yun's face to swell up, and his teeth fell out, flying out. LAN Yun immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. A portion of it was blood from his teeth falling out, while the other portion was blood from anger. He was so angry that he vomited blood. "Everyone, this person is lawless and lawless. Let's attack together and take him down." LAN Yun roared, summoning the people from the other heaven realms. However, the others looked at each other and no one made a move. Lu Ming did not kill anyone and did not hit anyone hard. He did not break the rules. Furthermore, quite a few people were competitors with LAN Yun. Seeing LAN Yun being abused, they couldn't even wait to be happy. Why would they stand out? At this moment, even Yen Shi shut up and behaved herself, afraid that Lu Ming would target her. "You still dare to shout again?" Lu Ming stepped on LAN Yun's face again. LAN Yun wailed. Unfortunately, his entire body was locked up by chains. He stood there upright and was completely unable to move. He could only be stepped on passively. "Kill this kid, quickly kill this kid," LAN Yun bellowed. Boom. One of the LAN family's 6-star true emperors wasn't chained up. He was still fighting against the chains. At this moment, the world energy on his body began to burn, and all sorts of law energy exploded with shocking power as it attacked the chains. A 6-star true emperor was simply too powerful. In order to break through to the true emperor realm, one had to have a strong world force, a stable small world, and a law. To break through to the true emperor realm, one had to reach the second realm of 3 laws. One could only imagine how terrifying the laws that a 6-star true emperor could control were. For a moment, the formation chains condensed by Dandan actually could not lock the other party. It wasn't that Dandan's formation wasn't strong enough. If she was given an hour to set up the formation, she could even lock a peak true emperor, let alone a 6-star true emperor. However, the time given to him just now was too short. LAN Yun's eyes lit up. "Brat, you're finished. I'm going to cripple you and break your 4 limbs." LAN Yun roared madly. He hated Lu Ming to the core. "You talk too much nonsense." Lu Ming continuously stomped on LAN Yun's face. His face almost exploded. He was no longer human and could not even recognize him. Then the fallen star bow appeared in Lu Ming's hands. He suddenly pulled the fallen star bow, and a rainbow arrow appeared. Buzz. Lu Ming released his grip and the bowstring vibrated. It was so loud that people's eardrums were buzzing. The 7-colored arrow suddenly flew out and shot toward the LAN family's 6-star true emperor. At such a close distance, the power of the fallen star bow was unleashed to its maximum. However, a 6-star true emperor was too strong. He roared and released sound waves from his mouth. The sound wave contained many different laws and charged toward the rainbow arrow. The arrow was blocked. It trembled in the air, hitting the sound waves, but in the end the arrow still shattered. "Lock it." Dandan shouted and waved her hands continuously. Countless runes filled the air, and more chains appeared, entangling toward the Lan clan's 6-star true emperor. In order to resist Lu Ming's arrow, the Lan family's 6-star true emperor had split a bit of his strength and was almost bound by Dandan's chains. Again? Lu Ming pulled the bowstring once again. The surging holy power was constantly surging into the bow. Whoosh! Another arrow was shot toward the glabella of the Lan clan's 6-star true emperor. Lu Ming, let me help you. On the other side, Jian feiliu called out. He waved his hand and the long sword above his head trembled. It turned into a sword light and slashed toward the Lan clan's 6-star true emperor. The power was extremely shocking. The Lan clan's 6-star true emperor roared and tried his best to resist. He waved his arms continuously and released a terrifying force to resist the chains around him, Lu Ming's arrows and Jian feiliu's sword light. Bang! Bang! With a loud bang, the arrow was broken and Jian feiliu's long sword was also hit and flew back to Jian feiliu's head. However, the Lan family's 6-star true emperor was too distracted in order to resist Lu Ming and Jian feiliu's attacks. In the end, Dandan seized the opportunity and countless chains flew toward the Lan family's 6-star true emperor madly. The other party was at a disadvantage. 1-2. A few chains wrapped around the Lan family's 6-star true emperor's body, causing his movements to slow down. LAN Yun's heart sank. However, at this moment rays of purple-red light shot over from the distance. It was an expert from the evil god tribe. Clearly, the evil god tribe's powerhouses had also been attracted by the red light emitted by Mulan's body. Lu Ming's expression changed. Jian feiliu's expression also changed drastically. In the blink of an eye, the people from the evil god tribe arrived. They saw Mulan sitting cross-legged in the pool with a single glance, and their eyes emitted a fiery glow. Take the treasures. We can't let the people from the heaven realm get them. Someone from the evil god race spoke. All of a sudden, the members of the evil god tribe charged toward Mulan. Damn it! Lu Ming bellowed. He drew the fallen star bow and shot a few arrows in succession. Bang! Bang! A few members of the evil god race were shot to death by Lu Ming in the air. At the same time, Jian feiliu also controlled the long sword above his head to slash at the evil god race. However, there was a terrifying expert from the evil god tribe who punched out and sent Jian feiliu's longsword flying. Jian feiliu's face turned pale and he almost spat out blood. Although his long sword was powerful, his cultivation was not high enough. He was only a 2-star void emperor, so he could not fight against those true emperor realm experts. Chapter 2208. Chapter 2207, Characters from the same era as Dandan. Chapter 2208. Chapter 2207 Characters from the same era as Dandan. Dandan also made a move, but she couldn't block it at all. You're looking for death. Some of the evil god clansmen had their eyes on Lu Ming and were charging toward him. Ha! He deserves it. LAN Yun laughed heartily in his heart. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he began to struggle, wanting to break free from the restraints of the chains. Boom! The Lan family's 6-star true emperor finally broke free and came to LAN Yun's side to protect him. Let's attack together and kill the evil god race. We can't let the evil god race get their hands on the treasures. Dandan shouted and urged the others to take action. Many people looked at each other and made their move. There was nothing they could do about the evil god race. They were their common enemy. No matter who got their hands on the treasure, they could not let it fall into the hands of the evil god race. However, the Heaven Realms people were too late. Some of the evil god tribe's powerhouses had already gotten close to Mulan. Jian feiliu was the only one beside Mulan, so he couldn't stop her at all. It seems like I can only use the Celestial Emperor's corporeal body. Lu Ming had a sudden thought. Just as he was about to use the Celestial Thearch's body, a layer of radiance suddenly emanated from the cave behind Mulan and Jian feiliu and blocked them. Boom! The experts of the evil god race had arrived. Their terrifying attacks slammed into the light. However, the light did not move at all. Not even a ripple was produced. Master! Jian Fei was overjoyed. Then a figure walked out of the cave. It was an old man with a head full of white hair. He wore a gray robe and had a cold expression. No one could sense any aura from him, nor could they tell his cultivation level. He was just like an ordinary person. However, after he swept his gaze over them, everyone's hair stood on end. It was a terrifying sight. Not good, let's go. One of the evil god tribe's high-stage true emperors had a look of fear on his face. He let out a loud roar and retreated frantically. Evil god race kill. the gray-robed elder said coldly. As soon as he opened his mouth, many long swords appeared in the air and shot out. All of the evil god tribe members had their foreheads pierced through. Whether it was the illusory emperor or the true emperor, under the sword light there was no difference. They were like babies, unable to withstand a single blow. All of a sudden, all 100 or so members of the evil god race were completely annihilated. CSI. On the side of the heavenly realm, everyone gasped. This gray-robed elder was definitely a terrifying expert. He was at least at the great emperor realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill a high-stage true emperor so easily. However, how did a great emperor realm expert come here? Could it be that the other party had been living here all this time? However, one thing was for sure, the other party was from the heaven realm, a friend and not an enemy. So it's this guy. This guy is actually not dead yet. Dandan came to Lu Ming's side and muttered softly. You know him? Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Bubbles. One do. We've met once before. However, he's just a junior. When you see me, you have to respectfully call me senior. Dandan sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming and started to brag again. However, Lu Ming was still very shocked. It was obvious that this was a figure from the same era as Dandan, an ancient powerhouse who had lived until now. It was obvious that the other party had not died after the battle that year. Master. Jian feiliu saluted the old man respectfully. And? The gray-robed old man nodded, then looked at the people from the heaven realm and said in a cold voice, You all can leave this place, this is this old man's cultivation ground. It's senior. Some people cupped their fists and did not dare to say anything more. They bowed to the old man and turned to leave. Master, these two are my friends. Jian feiliu pointed at Lu Ming and Dandan. Can they stay? The gray-robed old man swept a glance at Dandan and Lu Ming, especially at Dandan a few more times. Senior, can you allow me to take the two of them away? LAN Yun spoke. At this moment, he had already broken free from the chains with the help of his subordinates. He understood that he would not be able to get the treasure, but he did not want to let Lu Ming and Dandan off just like that. He wanted to take them away. Get lost. The gray-robed old man's reply was only one word. Senior, I'm the descendant of the LAN family. Please give me some face. LAN Yun cupped his fists. Get lost. This time, the gray-robed old man's voice was even colder. A powerful force burst out with the word scram and gushed toward LAN Yun and the others. The expressions of LAN Yun and the others changed drastically. Their bodies were sent flying and they fell to the ground, each of them spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Even the 6-star true emperor didn't have the power to fight back. Young master, let's go, let's go. The 6-star true emperor took LAN Yun and the group of people and retreated in a sorry state. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. Aha, evil swordsman, long time no see. One didn't expect you to still be alive. After the people from the heaven realm left, Dandan laughed and walked over to greet the gray-robed old man. Jian feiliu was dumbfounded. The gray-robed old man glanced at Dandan coldly and said, It's you, you cowardly fellow. You really didn't die. It's true that good people don't live long while scoundrels live for 1,000 years. Hey you. What are you saying? Dandan was displeased, her eyes wide open. The gray-robed old man no longer paid attention to Dandan. His figure flashed and he entered the cave. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Brat, what are you laughing at? Dandan glared at Lu Ming. He had just bragged that the gray-robed elder was his junior. Now he was being treated like this by the gray-robed elder. He really could not bring himself to lose face. People's hearts are not what they used to be. Seeing that my cultivation is low now, I'm no longer the same as I was in the past. This attitude is so sad and lamentable. Dandan sighed. Lu Ming. Long time no see. At this moment, Jian feiliu walked over and greeted Lu Ming. It's been a long time indeed. It's been more than 10 years, almost 20 years. Lu Ming said, sighing that time had passed too quickly. It had been such a long time since they last met. Fortunately, Jian feiliu was not only fine, but his cultivation had also skyrocketed and he had become a monarch. It was really hard to predict. This senior is... Jian feiliu looked at Dandan with a respectful expression. Dandan actually knew his master, so he naturally regarded Dandan as a senior expert. I am the invincible. Dandan placed her hands behind her back and began to brag. Lu Ming immediately interrupted him. He's just a quack. He brags all day. Ignore him. What? Lu Ming, what did you just say? Dandan was unhappy. She gritted her teeth and looked at Lu Ming. That's right, brother Jian, what happened to you back then? Also, senior sister Mulan, why is she here? What's her condition now? Lu Ming asked a few questions in succession. He was indeed full of questions. Mulan is your senior sister? Jian feiliu was surprised. That's right, she's my senior sister. Previously, there was a change in the divine wilderness continent and a passageway appeared. 6 years ago, senior sister Mulan stepped into that passageway and never returned. One stepped into that passageway not long ago as well, and that's how I ended up here. Lu Ming briefly explained the matter. Chapter 2209, The Evil God Tribe's Goal. Chapter 2209, The Evil God Tribe's Goal. Lu Ming briefly explained how he came to this place. Jian feiliu also briefly explained his experience. It turned out that when Jian feiliu's cultivation was crippled and he was on the verge of death, he was taken away by a mysterious man after entering the blood pool. That mysterious man was his master, the gray-robed elder, the evil swordsman that Dandan had mentioned. According to what Jian feiliu said, the passageway to the divine wilderness Nine Dragons City had already cracked a little. Evil swordsman had brought Jian feiliu here from the blood pool to cleanse his meridians and marrow before cultivating evil swordsman's unique sword Dao. The cultivation conditions for evil swordsman's unique sword Dao were very strange. When Jian feiliu's cultivation was crippled, it just so happened to fit evil swordsman's unique sword Dao. All these years, he had been cultivating here with evil swordsman, and his cultivation had progressed at a lightning speed. Now he was already a 2-star illusionary emperor. Lu Ming nodded. Evil swordsman was definitely a very powerful existence. In ancient times, he knew Dandan and was able to participate in the Great War back then and survive. This was enough to show his strength. It was normal for Jian feiliu to improve so quickly under the guidance of such an expert and in the heaven realm, which was a good cultivation environment. Senior sister Mulan, what's going on with her? Lu Ming's gaze shifted to Mulan. 6 years ago, Master saved Miss Mulan at the entrance of the passage. Miss Mulan resonated with the inheritance of a friend of Master by chance and inherited that senior's inheritance. 5 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Jian feiliu said. 5 years? You're saying that senior sister Mulan has been like this for 5 years? Lu Ming asked. That's right. According to Master's speculation, Miss Mulan should be waking up soon. Jian feiliu said. Lu Ming nodded. He was prepared to wait here for Mulan to wake up. Next, Lu Ming and Dandan stayed here. Time passed day by day. The Taiqing heavenly region was adjacent to the Hunyuan heavenly region. The passageway between the two heavenly regions had long become a battlefield. The two worlds had been fighting for many years and countless bones had been buried. On one side of the battlefield was the Taiqing heavenly region. The two-world city was situated there, blocking the entrance to the Taiqing heavenly region. On the other side of the battlefield was the territory that the evil god tribe had occupied. There were many strange and malevolent-looking buildings here, and countless powerful beings of the evil god race were gathered here. Within one of the buildings, a group of evil god race members were having a meeting. Most of the evil god tribe members were covered in purple scales, and only a few of them were covered in black scales. Each and every one of them had extremely terrifying auras, and they were all terrifying experts. The most shocking thing was that there was a member of the evil god tribe at the very top. This member of the evil god tribe's body was almost the same size as a normal human, but he was slightly taller than a human. He was about 2 meters tall and there were no scales on his body. However, there was a third eye in the middle of his brows. He had a head full of purple hair and he was extremely eye-catching. This was the royal clan of the evil god tribe. The patriarch has sent another message. The passage is not completely sealed and there is still hope of breaking it. Therefore this time we must break the passage no matter what. Once we have that passage, our army can go straight to the primordial realm. Then, through the primordial realm, we can enter the Taiqing heavenly region and destroy the heaven and yuan worlds in one fell swoop. You guys send your men into the battlefield. The royal member of the evil god tribe gave the order. Yes, at all costs. The members of the evil god tribe acknowledged the order. Not long after, many figures flew towards the battlefield, towards the ancient battlefield where Lu Ming and the others were. There was no lack of great emperors among them. The heavenly emperor realm figures did not dare to enter, because once they entered, they would attract all the marks and be hunted down by all the marks. Unless one's cultivation was at a certain level and not weaker than those peerless experts in the past, they would not be afraid of those marks, such as the few old ancestors of the evil god race. Time passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. During this period of time, Lu Ming had been cultivating while waiting for Mulan to wake up. One day while Lu Ming was cultivating, a shadow flashed in the cave and a figure appeared. It was Evil Swordsman. Evil Swordsman hadn't shown up in the last half a month. According to Jian feiliu, his master was severely injured in the ancient battle. He was lucky that he didn't die. His cultivation and battle strength were no longer what they used to be. He had been in seclusion to heal his injuries all these years. Why did he suddenly appear now? Evil Swordsman raised his head and looked at the sky. He seemed to have a lot on his mind, and after a long time he sighed. It seems that the passage hasn't completely collapsed or been sealed. It can still be opened. A passageway? Ming could not help but feel worried when he heard that. He asked, "Senior, the passage you mentioned, do you mean the passage that leads to the primordial realm?" "That's right, little guy. You must have come here from the primordial realm through that passage, right?" Evil Sword Guest said. "That's right, Senior. Could it be that the evil god tribe is going to enter the primordial realm through that passageway?" Immediately, Ming was extremely worried and his heart was in his mouth. If the evil god tribe were to enter the primordial realm through that passageway, the divine wilderness continent would be finished. "It's not that easy, you guys see." Evil Swordsman waved his hand, and an image immediately appeared in the air. Many figures shuttled through the air. They were all members of the evil god race. Suddenly, light filled the air and a figure appeared. It was the mark of a peerless expert. Kill? The moment the mark of this unparalleled expert appeared, his killing intent soared into the sky. Wielding a long spear, he pierced through the void and instantly killed 7 to 8 evil god race members. After that, the long spear swept out once more, and a terrifying figure exploded in the air. That is, the evil god race at the Emperor realm. Ming was shocked. The last member of the evil god race that had been blown up was definitely at the great Emperor realm. However, he was still unable to block the attack from the mark of the expert. Spread out. The evil god tribe members roared and flew in all directions. The mark of that peerless expert continued to pierce out with the long spear, killing a few of the evil god tribe's experts. However, the rest of the evil god tribe managed to escape. This is just a corner. This time around, many experts from the evil god tribe have entered, and there are no lack of great Emperor realm figures. Their goal is that passageway. Look again. Then Evil Swordsman waved his hand again, and the scene changed again. On the screen a void appeared. The space in that area was extremely unstable. From time to time, a spatial crack would appear and disappear. It was extremely ferocious and terrifying. Not far away in the void there were many figures standing in the air. All of them were powerful beings from the evil god tribe. Some of the evil god race members were attacking the unstable void, and some of them were setting up arrays. Could this be the passageway from before? Ming made a guess. That's right, this is the entrance to that passage. An astonishing battle took place there and the passage was destroyed, but it wasn't completely sealed. There's still hope of opening it. Evil Sword Guest said. Senior, what's going on? Why is there a passage here? Ming was puzzled and he felt more and more anxious. Chapter 22:10. Must stop. Chapter 22:10. Must stop. Ming was full of doubts. There was a passageway there that led to the divine wilderness continent. Furthermore, why was the divine nine-dragon cauldron and the nine-dragon veins suppressing the divine wilderness continent? Why did the divine nine-dragon cauldron fly away separately previously? Ming asked all his doubts. This is, Evil Swordsman muttered to himself for a moment. That passage was naturally formed when the Heaven and Yuan worlds first opened. Naturally formed? Ming muttered. That's right. A naturally formed passageway is completely different from a man-made passageway. It's very difficult to seal a naturally formed passageway completely. Even if it's sealed, it will slowly open itself as time passes. It's like forcefully tearing a crack in space or opening a passage. The space will quickly heal and repair itself. A naturally formed passage is the opposite. If you want to seal or suppress it, it will naturally open and return to its original state. Evil Swordsman explained. Ming understood now. A naturally formed passageway was naturally formed. It was fixed forever just like any space. You have the ability to tear apart any space, but that space will quickly recover. It was the same for the Khanate passage. If you sealed it, it would naturally open. That passageway leads to the primordial realm. Hence, in ancient times, it became an important place for the evil god tribe to attack. That's why a peak-level battle occurred here, and a large number of peerless experts died in battle. After that, the 9 dragons, one of the top 10 battle beasts, entered the primordial realm and sealed the other end of the passage. On the side of the heaven realm, There were also experts who sealed the passage on this side. However, that passageway is a passageway formed from the upper sky. No matter how it is sealed, it will slowly restore itself. Even if the person who sealed it is a rare peak expert, it can't be sealed forever. After so many years, the seal finally can't completely seal the passageway. The passageway is slowly opening. Evil Swordsman's words made Lu Ming suddenly see the light. Many things that he could not figure out in the past were now clear to him. He finally understood what the divine 9-dragon cauldron and the 9-dragon veins were for. They were used by the 9 dragons to seal the passage. He used to think that the divine 9-dragon cauldron just happened to have the same name as the 9 dragons. Now, it seemed that it was clearly a treasure of the 9 dragons. More than 10 years ago, the passageway slowly returned to its original state and was no longer sealed. This was why the primordial chi became denser when the divine wilderness and heaven were connected. The reason why the divine 9-dragon cauldrons had flown to the heaven realm was probably to stall for time. The divine 9-dragon cauldrons had flown to the heaven realm to prevent the aura from spreading and for the evil god tribe to detect it. As expected, evil swordsman continued to speak. Some time ago, the evil god tribe finally discovered the abnormality of this passageway. They sent out a few terrifying experts in an attempt to completely occupy that passageway and had a huge battle with the experts guarding the entrance. In the end, the experts guarding the passageway and the treasures left behind by the 9 dragons wanted to destroy that passageway. From the looks of it now, it hasn't been completely destroyed. Senior, can the passageway be completely destroyed? Lu Ming asked in surprise. No, it can only be destroyed for a short period of time. After a period of time, it will recover automatically. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to seal it back then. Evil Swordsman shook his head and sighed. Then what should we do now? Lu Ming was really anxious. This involved the safety of his parents, relatives, and friends. He could not stay calm. This passageway must not be occupied by the evil god tribe. Otherwise, all the efforts of everyone over the ages will be in vain. Evil Swordsman said, his voice cold and full of killing intent. Senior, we can send the news to Two World City. They won't sit by and do nothing. Lu Ming suggested. This was not only related to the primordial realm, but also to the heaven realm. Once the evil god tribe entered the primordial realm, they would enter the hinterlands of the supreme pure heaven region through the passageway of the primordial realm. Then the heaven realm would be completely finished. The people who came in before are all from Two World City. Pass the news to them and let them pass the news to the people of Two World City. Evil Swordsman nodded. Buzz. At this moment, a buzzing sound was heard. Mulan, who had been quiet all this while, finally made a move. The small tower above her head emitted a dazzling radiance. The blood in the blood pool began to squirm and flow into Mulan's body. Soon, the blood in the blood pool disappeared without a trace. A powerful aura emanated from Mulan's body. Emperor-to-be. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. Mulan's cultivation base was at the Emperor-to-be realm. The inheritance that she had obtained was definitely the inheritance of an extremely powerful existence. It might not be as simple as a simple inheritance. Otherwise, Mulan would not have been able to reach the Emperor-to-be realm in just 5 to 6 years. This little guy is so compatible with that guy's inheritance. It's rare. Evil Swordsman muttered. Dandan looked on with envy. Buzz. The small blood-red tower trembled slightly before shrinking rapidly. It flew into Mulan's forehead and disappeared. Mulan slowly opened her eyes. A blood-red light flashed in her eyes before it was concealed. Her gaze swept across Lu Ming and the rest. When her gaze landed on Lu Ming, her petite body could not help but shiver and she revealed a look of disbelief. Am I hallucinating again? Mulan mumbled. She blinked her big beautiful eyes a few times to make sure. Lu Ming smiled. Senior sister Mulan, long time no see. What? Don't you recognize me? Lu Ming. Mulan murmured with a surprised expression. She flew out of the small pool and was still in disbelief. Junior brother Lu Ming, why are you here? Of course it's because I'm worried about you. I miss you, so I followed that passage to find you. The one who spoke was not Lu Ming but Dandan. Lu Ming touched his nose and was speechless. Mulan's face was flushed red. Two little fellows, stop flirting. It's time to get down to business. Evil Swordsman's words caused Mulan's face to turn even redder. However, her cultivation had increased greatly, reaching the Emperor-to-be realm, and she had also obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert. Her confidence had also increased greatly, and her original personality had also been completely revealed. She came to Lu Ming's side and stared at him without blinking, seemingly unwilling to move her eyes away. Nest, it's so mushy. Dandan cried out. Junior brother, what happened? Mulan ignored Dandan and questioned Lu Ming. Lu Ming briefly explained the passage. Mulan's pretty face turned pale after hearing it. She understood the severity of the matter. Furthermore, her family members were all in the divine wilderness continent. I'm going to rush to the passageway immediately. When I make my move, I'm afraid it'll be dangerous for you to stay here. You should enter my small world first. Evil Sword Guest said. Senior, he'll stay outside. One might be able to help. Lu Ming said. No matter what, he still had the celestial thearch's physical body. It might be useful at a critical moment. They'll also stay outside. Dandan said. Chapter 22:11, Evil Swordsman's Strength? Chapter 22:11, Evil Swordsman's Strength. Alright, the two of you enter the small world. Evil Swordsman didn't give any explanation. He waved his hand and put Jian, Feiliu and Mulan into the small world. Then a wave of energy swept up Lu Ming and Dandan. In a flash they appeared outside the castle. Then Evil Swordsman brought Lu Ming and the rest to Lu Hao and the rest. Moreover, Lu Ming discovered that when Evil Swordsman walked in this area, the marks of the unparalleled experts did not attack him. Lu Ming guessed that perhaps Evil Swordsman's realm was high enough or he had some secret technique to avoid the marks' attack. Upon seeing Evil Swordsman, Lu Hao and the others were shocked and saluted him respectfully. Lu Ming immediately told her about the passageway. What? Lu Hao and the others were also shocked when they heard this. They understood that this was a major event that concerned the fate of the heavenly realm. Let's leave this place immediately and send a message to the seniors in Two World City. Lu Hao and the others agreed. They didn't dare to waste any time and rushed out of the battlefield. Evil Swordsman led Lu Ming and Dandan toward the passage. Not long after, they approached the passage and hid in the high sky, watching from afar. Many members of the evil god race were circling around a patch of void and were moving around. Rays of light were entering the void. The evil god tribe also formed many giant hands, trying to tear the void apart and reopen the passageway. These evil god tribe members are setting up a formation. They want to use the power of the formation to reopen the passageway. Evil Swordsman sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming and Dandan. Senior, what should we do? Lu Ming also sent a voice transmission. When the experts from Two World City arrive, well, kill them all. Now we can only fight it out with blood. There's no other way. However, the other party's Heavenly Emperor Realm experts don't dare to come. At most, they're at the peak of the Great Emperor Realm. Although I'm still injured, I'm still confident in dealing with those at the Great Emperor Realm. Evil Swordsman said, an ice-cold light flashing in his eyes. Upon hearing this, Lu Ming's heart felt more at ease. Then they waited quietly. One day later. They're here. Evil Swordsman suddenly said. In the distance, a few figures flickered and came over. They were very secretive. If it were not for Evil Swordsman's reminder, Lu Ming and the others would not have noticed them. Evil Swordsman's lips moved slightly as if he was transmitting his voice. The next moment, those figures came toward Lu Ming and the others. There were a total of 3 people, 2 old men and 1 middle-aged man. They were covered in blood and had obviously gone through a great battle. Although the 3 of them had completely concealed their auras, Lu Ming could still sense that they were definitely terrifying experts. Senior. After the 3 of them arrived, they cupped their fists towards Evil Swordsman. Why are there only 3 of you? This is such a big matter, why didn't the others come? Evil Swordsman frowned. Al, the others won't be able to come. An old man sighed. His hair was in a mess and his body was covered in blood. He had obviously gone through a bitter fight. What's going on? Evil Swordsman asked. Lu Ming and Dan Xan were also on tenterhooks. They had a bad feeling. A day ago, the evil god tribe suddenly sent out a large army to attack the Two World City and surrounded it. The Two World City is still in a fierce battle, and most of the experts are being held back. There were originally more than 10 of us who broke out of the encirclement and came here to stop the evil god tribe from breaking open the passageway. However, we went through a battle on the way here, and after entering this battlefield we were attacked by the marks of the experts. Out of the more than 10 of us, only the 3 of us were left to come here. After the old man finished speaking, he let out a long sigh. The dozen or so people who had broken out of the encirclement were all experts. It was a pity that they had lost so many people in order to come here. It was definitely a huge loss. However, in order to stop the evil god tribe, he had no other choice. For example, the evil god tribe had sent a large number of experts into this place in order to open up this passageway. Their losses would definitely be shocking. It seems like the evil god tribe is well prepared. They are afraid that the powerful cultivators of Two World City will find out and come to stop them. Evil swordsman's cold light grew even more intense. There's no other way now, he said, we can only kill our way over. At this moment, a bright light shone from the tunnel ahead. The evil god tribe seemed to have already set up the formation and were starting to activate it. The endless light condensed into a huge spiral drill-like thing facing the void. It seemed to be drilling a new passage where the original entrance was. Boom, boom, boom. The space trembled and crumbled, revealing a dark cave. There's no time to waste. Do it. You two stay here. Evil swordsman glanced at Lu Ming and Dandan. Then with a flash he rushed toward the many experts of the evil god tribe. Evil swordsman's speed was extremely shocking, and in just a few flashes he was already close to the evil god tribe. Enemy attack. There were too many experts from the evil god tribe. As soon as evil swordsman got close, the other party discovered him and shouted. Whoosh! Evil swordsman made his move. A long sword appeared in his hand and he slashed out. Sword light filled the sky, and a powerful evil god race member was directly split in half, his soul obliterated. So strong. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. That evil god was definitely a great emperor, but he was killed by evil swordsman in one strike. Although evil swordsman had yet to recover from his serious injuries, his battle strength was still extremely terrifying. This guy was much stronger than he is now at his peak. He is a peerless master in the heaven realm. Of course, compared to me there is still some gap. He spoke, but he didn't forget to boast at the end. Kill? Evil swordsman shouted, and a terrifying aura burst forth. The world was filled with an indescribable pressure. Evil swordsman was wearing a gray robe and looked very old, but when he attacked, he had a kind of world-dominating temperament. His whole body was filled with evil chi, and his sword light seemed to split the world. Several experts of the evil god race were killed by evil swordsman in succession. Break! Evil swordsman shouted. A sword light slashed at the void, directly splitting it open. Countless runes appeared there, and then exploded one after another. This was the great formation set up by the evil god race, and a section of it had been cut off by evil swordsmen. At the same time, the drill that was formed by the formation also exploded and disappeared. Kill him. The experts of the evil god race roared as their auras exploded forth, shaking the heavens and earth. So many great emperors. Lu Ming was shocked. There were too many great emperors in the evil god tribe, and most of them were extremely terrifying. Their auras were far above that of the great emperors from the Hung family and the Emperor Formless, whom Lu Ming had encountered before. Many of them were definitely advanced great emperors, and some were even peak great emperors. It was terrifying to have so many great emperors working together. However, evil swordsman was even stronger. With an iron sword in his hand, he killed his way into the evil god tribe. Every time he slashed out, an expert would be killed. One sword for one, blood splattered for thousands of miles. The three experts from Two World City also made their move. The cultivation of these three people was extremely profound, and they had powerful combat strength. They were fighting against the evil god tribe. Chapter 22:12. The Evil God Race's Old Ancestor? Chapter 22:12. The Evil God Race's Old Ancestor. The three from Two World City are all peak emperors, but there are many peak emperors from the evil god tribe. They can only hold back a portion of the power and can't play a crucial role. We still have to rely on evil swordsmen. Dandan sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Even though his current cultivation was far from what it had been in the ancient times, his vision was still there. He could determine his cultivation based on his aura. Surround and kill them. The experts of the evil god race roared. There were at least 4 or 5 of them, and they weren't any weaker than the 3 experts from Two World City. They surrounded evil swordsmen. According to Dandan, they were all peak great emperor experts. Evil swordsman's demonic chi became even more intense. Sword light crisscrossed as he fought with his opponent. After a few strikes, a peak emperor was killed by evil swordsman. Although evil swordsman had yet to recover from his injuries, his battle strength was still terrifying. Kill? Evil swordsman let out a long cry, and sword light shot up into the sky. A sword light that was 10,000 li long was extremely terrifying. As the sword slashed out, the void was completely shattered. A large number of evil god race members with weak cultivation bases were swept into the sword light and turned into ashes. Celestial Emperor, it's the Celestial Emperor. How can the Heavenly Emperor come here? furious roars came from the evil god race and they were filled with disbelief. Too many peerless experts had died in this region in the past, leaving behind their immortal imprints. Once they sensed a powerful expert, these imprints would appear to kill the enemy. This was especially true for the Heavenly Emperor. Once he arrived in this territory, the marks of the experts would sense him and even leave his original place to attack him together and kill him. In the past, there were also people of the Heavenly Emperor realm who came here, but they all died. Of course, the extremely terrifying Heavenly Emperors were the exception. Their strength was not weaker than those peerless experts when they were alive, and might even surpass them. With such strength they would not be afraid even if those experts were alive, so why would they be afraid after they died? However, evil swordsman's battle strength didn't seem to be that of a peerless expert, and was only equivalent to the most ordinary celestial emperor. How could he have entered this place? Bus. Evil swordsman continued to strike out with his sword, and every time he did so, a member of the evil god race would die under his sword. At the same time, the void continued to shatter, and the formation that the evil god race had set up was also continuously destroyed. Take out the celestial the arch weapon. Some of the evil god race members roared. Bus. Several terrifying fluctuations spread out in succession. Then a giant axe, a mountain and a saber appeared in the sky. This was a celestial emperor weapon, a weapon controlled by a celestial emperor. It was extremely powerful. The celestial the arch himself could not enter, but the celestial the arch weapon could be brought in. The marks on the celestial emperor weapon would not be able to sense it if it was not revived. Furthermore, it was just an inanimate object, not a living one. The marks would not have any reaction. Boom. The three celestial emperor weapons were awakened, and terrifying fluctuations burst forth from them. They gave off the aura of the heavenly Tao as they shot toward evil swordsmen. If a celestial emperor weapon isn't controlled by a celestial emperor, how much power can it unleash? 111 Show you the true power of a celestial emperor weapon. Evil swordsman's cold voice rang out, and the long sword in his hand burst out with a shocking sword howl. Bus. The sword hummed as several terrifying sword lights slashed out from evil swordsman's hands. Thump. After 3 consecutive clashes, the 3 celestial the arch weapons of the evil god race trembled violently and were sent flying. The 3 powerful beings of the evil god race who were controlling the celestial the arch weapons spat out mouthfuls of blood as their bodies cracked and exploded. Without a doubt, the long sword in evil swordsman's hand was also a celestial the arch weapon. It was controlled by him and its power was extremely powerful. You're looking for death. Right at this moment, an explosive roar came from the distance. An extremely terrifying aura rushed over. Then a huge demonic shadow appeared in the world. The demonic shadow was huge, towering like a mountain. It stood between the heaven and earth and was approaching. Forefather. The evil god race members were ecstatic. This is... Lu Ming's pupils suddenly constricted and his gaze was extremely solemn. When he had passed through that passage and come from the primordial realm, he had seen 4 huge demonic shadows fighting against the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons. This demonic shadow was extremely similar to one of the previous 4. Boom. The demonic shadow moved and threw a punch. The void was directly shattered, and the huge fist, wrapped in the void turbulence, smashed toward evil swordsman. At this moment, evil swordsman's eyes were extremely grave. The long sword in his hand kept shaking, and his aura was getting stronger and stronger. Bus. In the end, evil swordsman slashed out with his sword, and a shocking sword light slashed toward the huge fist. The sword gleam collided with the fist, causing an ear-piercing cutting sound. Although he was still far away, Lu Ming could feel a sharp pain in his eardrums. The blood in his body was boiling, and his body felt like it was about to explode. Dandan also circulated her energy to resist, but she was slightly better than Lu Ming. Bang. Then evil swordsman's sword light shattered, and the remaining power of the fist blasted towards evil swordsman, forcing him to retreat frantically. Not good. Senior evil swordsman is no match for him. Lu Ming's expression was ugly. That's the old ancestor of the evil god race, a peerless expert. However, he should be injured as well and his battle prowess is far from his peak. Dandan said. Lu Ming understood that the evil god tribe's patriarch must have been injured during the intense battle with the divine 9-dragon cauldron and the huge true dragon in the sky. You're an ancient antique from the ancient times. Today I'll send you on your way. The evil god race's old ancestor spoke, and his voice caused the sky to rumble. His body began to shrink and he became 3 meters tall. His speed increased greatly, and he instantly approached evil swordsman. This was also a purple-scaled being of the evil god race. He wasn't a member of the royal race, but a noble of the evil god race. However, his cultivation base had already reached a terrifying realm. His palm was like a knife, and he struck out a few times towards evil swordsman. Evil swordsman fought with him, but he was no match. After a few moves, evil swordsman was violently shaken and sent flying far away, a trace of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. Although the evil god race's old ancestor was also injured, his injuries weren't as severe as evil swordsman's. In ancient times, evil swordsman had almost died in battle, and only a wisp of his soul remained. After so many years, he had yet to recover, and his fighting prowess was far from what it had been at his peak. Kill? The evil god race's old master had the upper hand, and his attacks became even more violent. A junior, this old man will accompany you in battle. Blood trickled down from the corner of evil swordsman's mouth, but his eyes were exceptionally bright. At this moment, a layer of light flickered on his body, burning like a flame. At the same time, evil swordsman's aura also soared. Evil swordsman, it's time to go all out. Dandan opened her mouth and watched with rapt attention. Bus. Evil swordsman slashed out with his sword, and a sword light that was several times more terrifying than the previous one slashed toward the evil god race's old ancestor. The evil god race's old ancestor's eyes also became serious. A battle axe appeared in his hand, and he charged towards evil swordsman. Clang, clang. The two experts exploded with terrifying rumbles as they engaged in a fierce battle. For a moment, it was difficult to determine the victor. The two of them rushed into the depths of the sky and fought. The rest of the evil god tribe charged towards the three experts of Two World City. The three experts of Two World City were in a precarious situation. Chapter 2213, Controlling the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 2213, Controlling the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. The intense battle continued, but the situation for the Heaven Realm was getting worse and worse. They had too few people. Dandan, are we just going to watch? Is there any way one can help? Ming asked anxiously. Although he had the Heavenly Emperor body, it only had a little more than 10% of its energy. However, the evil god tribe had a bunch of great emperors, and there were many peak great emperors. In a great battle like this, the celestial emperor's corporeal body was not of much use at all. He was afraid that if he controlled the arch-corporeal body to go out, the energy would be exhausted in a few moments. At that time he could only wait for death. The difference in our cultivation is too great. We can't help at all. Dandan was also a little anxious. No matter how much he knew, how resourceful he was, and how many tricks he had up his sleeve, he was at his wit's end. That's right. Suddenly Ming thought of something. His eyes lit up and he said, "Where's the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron? Where did it go? If we have the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, we might be able to help." Ming had refined 9 drops of 9 dragons' blood essence and could control the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. As long as he could find the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, given his current cultivation level, the power of the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron would definitely be shocking. Let's look around the vicinity. Dandan's eyes lit up. The two immediately concealed their auras and avoided the battlefield, searching nearby. Ming was highly focused and sensed carefully. However, they didn't dare to get close to the battlefield and could only search the surrounding area. However, they couldn't find anything after searching for a long time. The two of them did not give up and continued to search. When the two of them came to the back of the passage entrance, Ming suddenly sensed something. He could feel the blood in his body heating up and circulating faster. There it is, I really sensed it. Ming's eyes lit up and he looked around. This was a messy pile of stones. These rocks aren't natural. They were shattered. Could it be that the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron was underground and was blasted into the ground? Dandan guessed. The two of them rushed into the rubble. Ming's feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Let me do it. Dandan's entire body glowed, and then she transformed into her true form, turning into a huge turtle. I'm digging. The huge turtle began to dig into the ground with its 4 limbs. Immediately, broken stones flew everywhere and large pieces of soil were lifted up. Not long after, a piece of metal was exposed. It's really the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Ming was overjoyed. This piece of metal was made of the same material as the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Ming could not be mistaken. Dandan was also excited and dug madly using the power of laws. A large area of soil shook and was thrown out. Lu Ming also helped by turning the chaos laws into the laws of the earth to help with the excavation. Large pieces of soil loosened and flew out. The first divine nine-dragon cauldron was revealed, followed by the second one, the third one. Soon, 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons the size of mountains appeared in their field of vision. The 9 dragon veins are gone. No, they are on the dragon cauldron. Lu Ming's eyes swept across the place and he noticed something different about the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was originally engraved with a real dragon pattern, but now, there was an additional pattern on it. This pattern was extremely similar to a dragon's vein, and it was extremely lifelike. However, the divine nine-dragon cauldron didn't seem to have any energy fluctuations. It was like scrap metal. Lu Ming was hugging the divine nine-dragon cauldron, but it did not react at all. What's going on? Why isn't there any reaction? Lu Ming was puzzled. It should be that the energy has been exhausted. Even the energy of the dragon vein has been exhausted, Dandan said, frowning in deep thought. It was conceivable that the previous battle was absolutely brutal. Even the energy of the divine nine-dragon cauldron and the 9 dragon veins had been exhausted. However, the results of the battle were also shocking. The passageway was destroyed, and the old ancestor of the evil god race was severely injured. Lu Ming, you've refined the blood essence of the 9 dragons. Let's try it with your blood. Dandan suddenly said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Blood seeped out of his palm. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he slapped the divine nine-dragon cauldron continuously, leaving a bloody handprint on each of the 9 cauldrons. Resuscitate. Lu Ming roared. The muscles on his body bulged and the blood chi in his body circulated wildly. A dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body and reverberated through the sky. It was the voice of the 9 dragons. There's someone over there. The dragon's roar spread far and wide, finally alarming the evil god tribe. A few ants, "I'll go and kill him." One of the evil god race members strode toward Lu Ming and the others at an astonishing speed. This was a great emperor from the evil god race. Lu Ming, hurry up. Dandan was anxious. Revive. Lu Ming roared, his blood boiling and the dragon's roar reverberating. Bus, bus, whoosh. The divine nine-dragon cauldron finally reacted. The bloody handprint that Lu Ming left on the divine cauldron glowed and was then absorbed by the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron began to shake and its aura became stronger and stronger. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was starting to recover. Revive. Lu Ming continued to roar. The shadow of 9 dragons appeared above his head, causing the divine nine-dragon cauldron to shake even more violently. At this moment, the evil god tribe's great emperor had already arrived. Kill? The evil god tribe's the arch shouted coldly. A beam of destructive light shot out from between his brows, enveloping Lu Ming and Dandan within it. "I'm finished, I'm finished," Dandan screamed. "Rise." Lu Ming bellowed. With a wave of his hand, the divine nine-dragon cauldron rushed out from the ground and blocked in front of him. Clang. The destructive light of the evil god tribe's great emperor slammed onto the divine nine-dragon cauldron, causing it to tremble violently. The destructive light had been blocked. Suppress. Following that, Lu Ming pushed out with one hand, and the divine nine-dragon cauldron expanded once more, blasting toward the evil god tribe's the arch. "You ant-like thing, you dare to attack me?" The evil god tribe's great emperor shouted coldly as a beam of light shot out from his glabella once more, blasting towards the divine nine-dragon cauldron. However, this time around, a dragon's roar rang out from the divine nine-dragon cauldron. It was even more powerful than before. With a single shake, it was able to destroy the destructive light of the evil god tribe's great emperor before continuing on its way. The evil god tribe's great emperor's eyes narrowed as a battle axe appeared in his hands. He then swung the axe toward the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Clang. Deafening rumbles resounded through the sky. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was blocked, but the evil god tribe's great emperor's body trembled violently. He couldn't help but retreat as his face turned pale. What a powerful force again! Lu Ming was overjoyed. With his current cultivation, controlling the divine nine-dragon cauldron had indeed made it more powerful. However, perhaps it had something to do with the self-recovery of the divine nine-dragon cauldron before. Its power had become even more astonishing. Boom. The divine nine-dragon cauldron continued to press down on the other party. At the same time, the auras of the other divine nine-dragon cauldrons were getting stronger and stronger. Bus. Following that, the second divine nine-dragon cauldron flew out. Together with the first divine nine-dragon cauldron, it pressed down toward the evil god tribe's great emperor. Chapter 22:14. Lu Ming kills a great emperor in a frenzy? Chapter 22:14. Lu Ming kills a great emperor in a frenzy. The two divine nine-dragon cauldrons resonated together, and their power was more than doubled. Boom. As the first one came down, the evil god tribe's great emperor's body trembled violently as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The arm that was holding onto the battle axe let out a cracking sound as even his bone armor was broken. Boom. The second cauldron pressed down, and the evil god tribe's great emperor let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was torn into pieces. He had fallen. Although a great emperor should only be a low-level great emperor, he was killed by the continuous attacks of the two divine nine-dragon cauldrons. The divine nine-dragon cauldron had awakened, and its power was terrifying. Damn it, go and kill them. In the distance, some of the evil god race members noticed this and roared out in rage. Bus, bus, bus. There were at least 5 to 6 members of the evil god tribe charging toward Lu Ming and the others. There were even high-level great emperors among them. Come on, full recovery. Lu Ming let out a long howl. Brr. Lu Ming's body glowed as a nine-dragon coiled around him. The 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons were all shaking, and dragon roars were constantly heard. The 9 dragon veins that were wrapped around the divine nine-dragon cauldron seemed to have come to life. They shone with light and looked alive. Bus, bus, whoosh. Then the 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons all flew up and hovered around Lu Ming and dandan. One of them was floating above the 2 of them, emitting a beam of light that enveloped the 2 of them. The other 8 were floating around the 2 of them. At this moment, the evil god tribe had also arrived. The 6 experts of the evil god tribe were all at the great emperor realm, and there were even high-level great emperors among them. With so many great emperors working together, it was absolutely terrifying. Kill? Lu Ming roared and pushed with both hands. The 8 divine nine-dragon cauldrons flew out and continued to grow in size. They filled the sky and pressed down on the 6 powerhouses from the evil god tribe. Within the divine nine-dragon cauldron, dragon roars could be heard. The 8 divine cauldrons were even larger than the archaic divine mountain and were filled with endless power. Bang, bang. Under the pressure of the divine nine-dragon cauldron, the low-level great emperor screamed and died on the spot. The advanced great emperor's body cracked and blood spurted out of his mouth. He was filled with fear. Bus. The 8 cauldrons trembled and released a terrifying power. The evil god race high-level emperor's body exploded inch by inch and died. What a powerful force. The divine nine-dragon cauldron contains the power of that kid, 9 dragons. He has already fully recovered. Kill him. Dandan laughed out loud, extremely excited. Kill? He opened his mouth and rushed towards the battlefield. He controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, evil swordsman and the evil god tribe's old ancestor were still engaged in a fierce battle. Evil swordsman activated his origin energy, and his battle prowess skyrocketed. However, he could only fight to a draw with the evil god race's old ancestor, and it was difficult for him to defeat him. Although the 3 great emperors from Two World City were peak great emperors, there were too many experts on the other side. At this moment they were in a precarious situation and were covered in blood. They could die at the hands of the other party at any moment. At this moment Lu Ming arrived. Out of the 9 cauldrons, one of them protected him while the other 8 charged toward the evil god tribe. The 8 cauldrons covered the sky. On each cauldron a dragon vein emerged, emitting light and roaring at the sky. The 8 cauldrons resonated with each other, and their power increased by several times. Bang, bang. As the cauldron pressed down, the evil god tribe members exploded one by one and died on the spot. Those below the great emperor realm couldn't put up any resistance. Even some low-level great emperors below the 3-star realm couldn't put up much of a fight and were killed. The 4-star great emperors couldn't block it either. They spat out blood and felt like their bodies were going to explode. A single attack had killed a large number of evil god tribe members. Dandan's eyes lit up and she shouted, "Kill him." The evil god race roared, and some peak emperors charged toward Lu Ming and dandan. Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and attacked it in turns. Thump, thump, thump. The divine nine-dragon cauldron continued to clash with the peak emperors. Dozens of moves were exchanged in an instant, and the peak emperors were forced back and spat out mouthfuls of blood. His body began to crack. The divine nine-dragon cauldron seemed to have come back to life. It was so powerful that even peak great emperors couldn't fight against it. Kill. The three peak great emperors from Two World City seized the opportunity to kill one of the peak great emperors. At the same time, Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron to attack. With Lu Ming's help they had the upper hand. The evil god tribe's powerhouses were constantly being hunted down. In just a few minutes, more than 200 people from the evil god tribe had been killed, and there were even dozens of great emperor realm experts. This was an astonishing battle achievement. If this was in the primordial realm, it would probably scare people to death. Although this was the battlefield between the Tai Ching heavenly region and the alien tribes, where most of the experts of the two worlds were gathered, it was rare for dozens of great emperors to fall at once. The evil god tribe's the Arch was a little afraid. When he saw Lu Ming, he retreated one after another. Go help senior evil swordsman. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and flew toward the battlefield where evil swordsman and the evil god race's patriarch were. Suppress. Lu Ming shouted and pushed with both hands. The 8 divine nine-dragon cauldrons flew out and pressed down on the evil god race's old master. You two ants, you're looking for death. The evil god tribe's old ancestor bellowed in rage. Lu Ming had just killed so many of the evil god tribe's powerhouses, and his killing intent was extremely strong. Beams of light shot out of his third eye. They were the light of destruction. However, the evil god tribe's patriarch's destructive light was not just a beam of light. It could actually transform into three-eyed magical beasts that were as large as mountains. They pounced toward Lu Ming and collided with the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Boom. Boom. A terrifying tremor resounded through the firmament. The void was constantly disintegrating as if it was about to return to chaos. The 8 cauldrons were sent flying back. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force pressing down on him, almost causing his body to explode. Lu Ming retreated hastily. His face was pale and the qi and blood in his body were boiling. What a terrifying power. Only then did Lu Ming understand that the evil god tribe's patriarch was too powerful. He could not be mentioned in the same breath as a great emperor. There was a huge gap between them. Even though the evil god race's patriarch was already heavily injured and was still in a battle with evil swordsmen, the destructive light emitted by his third eye was still able to force the divine nine-dragon cauldron back and almost injure Lu Ming. Dandan, let's enter the divine cauldron. Lu Ming said to Dandan. Dandan nodded, and then the two of them flew into the divine cauldron above their heads. Inside the divine cauldron, the protective power was even stronger. External forces would be blocked by the divine cauldron. Then Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and made it fly out to join the other 8 divine cauldrons. The power of the 9 cauldrons combined was even more terrifying. The divine nine-dragon cauldron spun and charged toward the evil god race's old ancestor. Boom. This time around he finally managed to shatter the demonic beasts that were formed from the other party's destructive light and blasted them toward the evil god race's old ancestor's body. Buzz. The sword howled. How could evil swordsman miss such an opportunity? He used all his strength and slashed out with a shocking sword strike. Chapter 22:15. Chapter 22:14, Peerless Expert. Chapter 22:15. Chapter 2214 Peerless Expert. Evil swordsman's sword attack was peerless and breathtaking. It finally broke through the evil god race's old ancestor's attack and charged towards the other party. The evil god race's cultivation method was not a system of laws. It was very similar to the Heaven Realm's ancient system. They cultivated a strange power that was extremely powerful and could both attack and defend. At this moment, evil swordsman's sword light had cut it open, leaving a deep sword wound on his body. His scales had been cut open and blood was flowing out. The evil god race's old ancestor let out a furious roar, and a layer of purple light covered his entire body as he charged towards evil swordsman. At this moment, Lu Ming rode the divine nine-dragon cauldron and charged over again. The divine nine-dragon cauldron resonated with each other and crushed down toward the evil god race's old master. The evil god race's old master waved the weapon in his hands and continued to strike out. Boom, boom, boom. The divine nine-dragon cauldron rumbled continuously and was finally blown away. However, evil swordsman's attack arrived again. The evil god race's patriarch was already severely injured, and his combat strength had been greatly reduced. Now that he was being attacked by Lu Ming and evil swordsman, he was at a complete disadvantage. The other members of the evil god tribe were shocked. If even the evil god race's old ancestor was no match for it, then how was this passageway supposed to be opened? The 3 experts from Two World City were overjoyed. It was a pleasant surprise that Lu Ming could control the divine nine-dragon cauldron and burst out with infinite combat strength. This gave them a chance to turn the tables. However, at this moment their expressions changed drastically. Because in the distance, there were a few extremely terrifying auras that were spreading towards this side. The few of them looked in one direction. Over there were 3 huge demonic shadows and they were coming over. The strength of his aura was not any weaker than that of the evil god tribe's old ancestor. The evil god tribe's peerless experts. And 3 of them have come at once. The 3 people from Two World City were pale and desperate. In the Heavenly Emperor realm, there was a huge gap between each level. The gap between each level was huge. Only Heavenly Emperor powerhouses above the 4-star Heavenly Emperor realm could be called peerless powerhouses. Such a person was already standing at the peak of the world. He was in existence at the top of the pyramid of all living beings, and his power was unbelievable. The reason why this ancient battlefield was so terrifying was because there had been a battle between a group of peerless powerhouses in the past. Even the immortal imprints left behind after the death of many peerless powerhouses were extremely terrifying. One could only imagine how powerful a peerless expert was. Now there were 3 of them. In the divine nine-dragon cauldron, Lu Ming and Dandan could also sense the situation outside. At this time their expressions also changed drastically. "It's them?" Lu Ming roared. Back then, when he had crossed over from the primordial realm, he had seen the 4 huge demonic shadows of the evil god tribe fighting against the divine nine-dragon cauldron. It was obvious that they were the 4 of them. The patriarchs are here. The members of the evil god tribe were overjoyed. In order to seize this passageway, the evil god race had made ample preparations. They had first sent a large army to attack the Two World City so that the experts of the Heaven Realm could not be distracted and come to their aid. They had then opened this passageway. When the evil god tribe's army entered the primordial realm, the situation would be set. Kill. In the distance, an old ancestor of the evil god race roared, causing the void to explode continuously. The scene was extremely terrifying. Damn it. Evil swordsman also roared in anger. It was already difficult to deal with one of the evil god race's old ancestors, and now there were 3 more. He could sense that the evil god race's old ancestor was injured, and his strength was not as strong as before. However, it was still extremely shocking. The 3 demonic shadows came at top speed. Boom. However, at this moment, a violent boom erupted in the distant sky. The void shattered, and a huge hand stretched out from the dark void. The hand was incomparably huge, and it emanated the might of the heavenly Tao as it smashed toward the 3 evil god race's old ancestors. Who is it? The old ancestor of the learning god clan roared and blasted out attacks one after another at the huge hand. Boom. The void was shattered as if the world had been destroyed and turned back into chaos. With a terrifying explosion, the huge hand exploded. But then a figure appeared in that area. This figure was shrouded in divine light, and his appearance couldn't be seen clearly. One could only roughly sense that he was burly and filled with supreme majesty. Boom. The figure continued to attack, sending out terrifying palm prints that headed toward the 3 old masters of the evil god race. It's a peerless expert from our heaven realm. The 3 experts from Two World City were ecstatic. In the end, a peerless expert from the heaven realm had arrived. The old ancestor of the evil god race was injured in the end. Right now, the 3 of them were being suppressed by a peerless expert from the heaven realm. The 3 of them were extremely unwilling and let out angry roars. If they were at their peak, they wouldn't be weaker than the other party. Unfortunately, they were all injured and their strength had been greatly reduced. That was why they were so aggrieved. The 3 of them were suppressed by the other party. You go kill them. Leave this person to the 2 of us. At this moment, one of the evil god race's old masters roared as the light on his body grew brighter and brighter. 2 of the evil god race's old ancestors were going all out. They ignored their injuries and forcefully raised their combat strength to the peak, killing their way toward the peerless experts of the heaven realm. The 3 of them collided in a terrifying manner and fought their way into the depths of the dark void. The remaining evil god tribe's old ancestor charged toward Lu Ming and the others. Ants die, die. The evil god race's old master roared and reached out with a palm. A terrifying radiance emanated from his palm as he grabbed at Lu Ming. From a distance, the terrifying pressure pressed on the divine nine-dragon cauldron, making it buzz and shake. Kill. Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and blasted it at the other party. Boom. Boom. The divine nine-dragon cauldron collided with the opponent's attack. It kept shaking and then was sent flying one by one. Lu Ming and Dandan, who were hiding in the divine nine-dragon cauldron, were also shaken violently. Their qi and blood were boiling. But the evil god race's old master charged over. His massive body started to shrink, and in the end he became the size of a normal human. This old master of the evil god tribe did not look much different from a human. He had a head full of purple hair and was extremely handsome. The only difference was that there was a third eye between his eyebrows. This was a royal member of the evil god tribe. The royal race of the evil god race was too powerful. Even though they were injured, their combat strength was still extremely terrifying. His entire body was enveloped in a layer of purple light. The third eye between his brows glowed, and 9 sparkling and resplendent combat swords actually flew out, slashing towards the 9 divine cauldrons. Buzz. Whoosh. The combat sword continued to slash at the divine 9-dragon cauldron, causing sparks to fly and the cauldron to shake. Lu Ming and Dandan were hiding in that cauldron, surrounded by the other 8 cauldrons. Even though they were separated by layers of defense, the other party's terrifying power still gushed in, causing Lu Ming to vomit blood. Dandan's cultivation level was higher, so it was better. The situation was not good for Lu Ming and the rest. If this continued, even if they were separated by the divine 9-dragon cauldron, they would still be shocked to death by the other party. The main reason was that the difference in cultivation was too great. If Lu Ming's cultivation was at the true emperor realm, the situation would be much better. Awaken. Divine 9-dragon cauldron. Lu Ming bellowed, channeling the qi and blood in his body with all his might, making his qi and blood boil even more. Chapter 22:16. Chapter 22:15 in 9 Dragons Reappears? Chapter 22:16. Chapter 2215 9 Dragons reappears in Lu Ming's body, his qi and blood were surging like the water of a river, and they were swimming like real dragons. Dragon roars were heard as the illusionary 9 dragons that surrounded Lu Ming suddenly collapsed and rushed into Lu Ming's body. Then 9 drops of blood essence flew out of Lu Ming's body. 9 dragon blood essence. Lu Ming did not need to think to know that this was the blood essence of the 9 dragons. The blood essence of the 9 dragons that he had refined in his body actually flew out of his body. All of a sudden Lu Ming felt extremely weak. The strength of his physical body was rapidly weakening. The 9 drops of blood essence of the 9 dragons glowed and flew into the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons. At this moment, the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons burst out with dragon roars. At the same time, the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons began to merge. This sudden change caused the face of the evil god race's old ancestor to change, and he unleashed an even stronger attack. However, the divine 9-dragon cauldron completed its fusion as it shook. The 9 cauldrons fused into one. Lu Ming and Dandan were still in the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The 9 cauldrons combined into one, and their power increased greatly. They were even larger than mountains, filling the sky and suppressing the other party. Thump. Boom. His opponent's combat sword kept striking the divine 9-dragon cauldron. However, the power of the 9 cauldrons was indeed stronger. With a shake, his opponent's combat sword exploded inch by inch. Kill. The divine 9-dragon cauldron didn't stop and continued to attack the other party. Boom. The other party's palm struck the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The divine cauldron was unscathed, but the other party's body trembled violently and was forced to retreat. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming's killing intent soared. He took the opportunity to control the divine 9-dragon cauldron and bombarded it at his opponent. The divine 9-dragon cauldron's attack was brutal and direct. There was no technique involved and it simply crushed the opponent. Kill, kill, kill this fucking dog. Dandan shouted. Boom. The evil god race's old master was sent flying once more, and he was forced to retreat. His purple hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were filled with rage. The evil god race's old ancestor bellowed. He could sense Lu Ming and Dandan's cultivation in the divine 9-dragon cauldron. In his eyes, such cultivation was no different from that of ants. But now he was being suppressed by 2 ants. This made him furious. As he roared, the body of the evil god tribe's old master rapidly grew in size. In the end he surpassed the mountain peak and reached into the clouds. He was even bigger than the divine 9-dragon cauldron. At the same time, the light on his body grew even brighter, and his aura continued to rise. Not good, this guy is going to go all out. He's going to raise his combat strength to the peak regardless of his injuries. Dandan exclaimed. Boom. At this moment, the aura of the evil god tribe's old ancestor reached its peak. A beam of light burst out of the third eye and turned into a huge sword, which slashed toward the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron also emitted a layer of light and rumbled toward the other party. Thump. A terrifying vibration was heard as the area exploded. The ground cracked and the space was smashed. They appeared in the dark void and continued to fight. The evil god race's old master slammed out with his palm. The huge palm covered the entire sky as it struck the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron shook violently again. The evil god tribe's old ancestor then unleashed a storm of attacks. At this moment, the evil god race's old ancestor was raising his combat strength to the peak without caring about his injuries. This was truly shocking. This was a true peerless expert, a figure that was revered in the universe. He was simply too strong. At this moment, even if the 9 divine dragon cauldrons were combined, it would be difficult to defeat the other party. The divine 9-dragon cauldron was suppressed, but the dragon roars were endless and getting louder and louder. Finally, a real dragon emerged from the divine 9-dragon cauldron. No, it was 9 dragons. There were 9 dragons with 9 claws under their bellies. The 9 dragons appeared. At first they were still very illusory, but they became more and more solid. In the end, they were so lifelike that they seemed real, as if the 9 dragons had come back to life. Whoa, the 9 dragons have appeared. No, this is the combination of his blood essence and the mark of the divine 9-dragon cauldron. It's not a real entity. Dandan shouted. The 9 dragons let out long roars, and their eyes shone as bright as the sun. Their dragon claws stepped through the air as they pounced toward the evil god race's old master. 9 dragons. The evil god race's old master roared as a look of fear flashed across his eyes. Even though he was the old ancestor of the evil god tribe, he wasn't someone who had survived from the ancient era. He had been born later and had never seen the 9 dragons before. However, he had heard of the rumors about 9 dragons. Each of the Heaven Realm's top 10 battle beasts was a peak expert and extremely terrifying. Back then, countless experts of the evil god tribe had died at their hands. His ancestors had all died at the hands of the top 10 beasts. When he saw the 9 dragons, he subconsciously felt a little scared. However, he immediately reacted. These were not real dragons, so what was there to be afraid of? He let out a loud roar and charged towards the 9 dragons, engaging in a battle with them. After all, the 9 dragons were only 9 drops of blood essence, and they were manifested by the mark in the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Their strength was far inferior to that of their peak. As for the evil god race's old master, he had already raised his strength to his peak. The battle between the two sides was difficult to determine a winner in a short time. Ming, it's more important to completely destroy that passageway. Don't get entangled with the other party. At this moment, evil swordsman's voice was heard. Not bad. Ming nodded secretly and sent a voice transmission to evil swordsman. Senior, how can we completely destroy that passage? Control the 9 dragons and have them bombard the passageway. Turn the space there into nothingness and return it to chaos. In that case, it will take at least 100 years for the passageway to reappear. This will buy us some time. Evil Sword Guest said. All right. Ming made his decision and began to control the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Boom. The 9 dragons exchanged another blow with the other party, then turned around and rushed back to the original passage. The divine 9-dragon cauldron was right under the 9 dragons. It followed the 9 dragons and moved rapidly toward the original passage. If you want to leave, then stay. The evil god race's old master roared and chased after Ming. Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron at a very fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the original passageway. The 9 dragons roared and stomped with their 9 claws. A terrifying attack blasted towards that position. The space in that area was constantly exploding, turning into the tiniest particles. Back then, although the passageway had collapsed and exploded, it had not been completely destroyed. From time to time, a spatial rift would appear. This way, it was still possible to open it with some powerful means. However, if it was completely destroyed, it would be difficult to open it in a short time. Naturally, the evil god race's old ancestor knew what Ming was up to. He was instantly enraged and charged toward Ming. However, right at this moment, a dragon's roar rang out from the depths of the sky. An incomparably huge true dragon appeared, and its dragon claws grabbed out toward the evil god race's old ancestor. It's this true dragon. Ming's eyes lit up. Back then, when he had passed through the passageway and arrived in the heaven realm, He had seen the divine nine-dragon Cauldron bring along the nine-dragon veins and fight against the evil god tribe's patriarch. At that time, there was also an incomparably huge true dragon that had participated in the battle, and its strength was terrifying. Chapter 2217. Chapter 2217, Passage completely collapses? Chapter 2217. Chapter 2217 Passage completely collapses. Previously, Lu Ming had not seen the true dragon and thought that it had already fallen. Now it seemed that it had not. This true dragon was entangled with the evil god race's old master, preventing him from coming over. Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron with all his might, causing the nine dragons to bombard the space continuously. The space kept exploding. Don't tell me this is the ancestral dragon. At this moment, Dandan looked at the huge true dragon in the sky, dumbfounded and shocked. Ancestral dragon? What was it? A senior? Lu Ming asked curiously. It was rare to see something that could make Dandan so shocked. Lu Ming was very surprised. That's not right. It's not the ancestor dragon. If it was really him, he could have killed this evil god tribe member with just a breath. No, it's just a wisp of his aura. Dandan seemed to have not heard Lu Ming's words. She was mumbling to herself, still looking like a fool. Lu Ming was shocked. How was it possible that he could kill the evil god tribe member in front of him with just a breath? This evil god race was a peerless expert. A heavenly emperor above the 4-star level, even a peak heavenly emperor, would not be able to kill him with just a breath. However, a peak heavenly emperor was already standing at the highest point in this world. According to Lu Ming's understanding, the celestial the arch was the limit of cultivation in this world. He was truly invincible at RHE peak. Could there be a stronger existence than a peak heavenly emperor? Lu Ming thought that Dandan was bragging. He did not think too much about it. He controlled the nine dragons with all his might and bombarded the void continuously. It was like kneading dough. If you don't knead a dough, there will be many cracks. The dough is not completely fused together. If you follow the cracks, you can separate the whole dough. However, after continuous kneading and slapping, the dough would melt into one, and the cracks would disappear. Now, this void, this passageway was like this. It was like a dough that had not been kneaded. There were still cracks, and the evil god tribe could open up the tunnel completely by following these cracks. Lu Ming's current bombardment was to knead the dough, to completely integrate these spaces into one, and the cracks would disappear. Of course, this required a shocking amount of power. Even ordinary heavenly emperors would find it difficult to do so. At that moment, Lu Ming's 9 drops of 9 dragons' blood essence flew out and manifested 9 dragons. Only then did he have such power to completely collapse the passageway and the crack disappeared. The evil god tribe's patriarch naturally knew what Lu Ming and the others were planning. However, one of them was blocked by the huge true dragon and it was difficult to get rid of the other. You guys, don't even think about it. The evil god race's old ancestor who was fighting against evil swordsman roared in anger. The light on his body brightened, and at this moment he no longer cared about his injuries. He risked worsening his injuries and erupted with all his power. Boom. Evil swordsman was sent flying by his one move. However, evil swordsman didn't retreat. He once again charged at his opponent. He needed to give Lu Ming enough time. However, evil swordsman's injuries were too severe. He had almost died in the ancient battle, and even now his strength was far from fully recovered. When the evil god race's old ancestor unleashed his full power, he was no match for him at all and was sent flying again. Not good. Lu Ming was anxious as he tried his best to control the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Not only did the 9 dragons attack the void, but the divine nine-dragon cauldron itself also shone brightly and blasted toward the void. The space was constantly exploding, then healing, and then exploding. Hurry, hurry. Lu Ming was anxious because evil swordsman could not hold on any longer. If this went on, evil swordsman would definitely die. Once evil swordsman died, Mulan and Jian feiliu in his small world would also die. Lu Ming had to seize the time. The 9 dragons let out a long roar, and their entire bodies burst out with dazzling light. Beams of light burst out from the bodies of the 9 dragons, which were extremely dazzling. Boom. In the end, the bodies of the 9 dragons exploded. This explosion formed a terrifying energy. The entire area and space were completely annihilated, turning into nothingness and chaos. No. 11 The evil god race's old ancestor bellowed. Haha, good. Evil swordsman laughed loudly. He no longer tried to stop them. Instead, his figure flashed and he rushed towards the 3 experts of Two World City. A force swept them up and they flew into the distance. Lu Ming, that's enough. Let's go. Evil Swordsman's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming controlled the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and flew toward Evil Swordsman at top speed. They met up and flew in one direction at top speed. The two evil god races' old masters joined forces and charged towards the true dragon. However, the true dragon was no match for them. Its huge body started to break apart. The entire body of the dragon exploded and turned into a drop of blood. In a flash, it disappeared from the place. A drop of blood. The two evil god races' old masters were shocked, and their gazes turned grave. Then they came to RHE original passage. The void was healing quickly. After it was healed, there was no space at all. It was exactly the same as the space in the other regions. The passageway had completely collapsed. Damn it, kill those ants. The purple-haired old ancestor of the evil god race roared in anger and chased after Lu Ming, evil swordsman, and the others. The other old ancestor of the evil god race and the other members of the evil god race all chased after evil swordsman and the others. Lu Ming controlled the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and flew at high speed with evil swordsman. However, at this moment Lu Ming felt weak. Buzz. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron shook and suddenly shrank rapidly. Lu Ming and Dandan flew out of the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron automatically. Then, the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron split into 9 parts and flew into the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows. At the same time, 9 drops of blood essence flew out of the 9 divine cauldrons and scattered into Lu Ming's body. Buzz. At this moment, there was a flash of red light in the distance. A drop of blood pierced through the void and flew into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He did not understand what was going on. However, at this moment he felt weak. Let's go. Evil Swordsman waved a wave of energy, sweeping up Lu Ming and Dandan and flying forward. However, Evil Swordsman was already heavily injured, and he had been injured even more when he tried to stop an evil god race ancestor. Although he was fast, there was a limit to his speed. Behind him, 2 figures were chasing after him at an astonishing speed. It was 2 of the evil god race's old ancestors. We're finished, Dandan wailed. Right now, Evil Swordsman was heavily injured, and it was obvious that the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron's energy had been exhausted. How was he going to deal with the 2 old ancestors of the evil god tribe? You turtle, you're really afraid of death. You're no different from back then. Evil Swordsman indifferently glanced at Dandan and said disdainfully, "What did you just say? Show me some respect, you're my junior, do you understand?" Dandan was displeased and she glared at Evil Swordsman with wide eyes. "Oh, was it? Then one can only leave you here first. Perhaps you can delay the other party a little." Evil Swordsman said indifferently. Dandan immediately wilted. He squeezed out a smile and looked at Evil Swordsman with a gentle expression, saying, "Don't be like that. One was just joking with you. We're all old acquaintances. Calm down, ha." At the side, Lu Ming was full of disdain. The 3 experts from Two World City were also disdainful. This change in attitude was faster than flipping a book. Chapter 22:18. Two World City? Chapter 22:18. Two World City. Evil Swordsman didn't say anything more, and led everyone to fly at high speed. However, the 2 evil god tribes' old ancestors were getting closer and closer, and the distance between the 2 sides was getting shorter and shorter. "You will die today. No, I won't let you die. I will extract your souls and make you suffer." One of the evil god race's old ancestors spoke coldly. They were truly furious. After much difficulty, they finally found a passage to the primordial realm. As long as they took down this passage, they could send an army into the primordial realm. In that case, it would be much easier to attack the Taiching Heaven region. But now it was all ruined. Even though the passageway was a Khanate passageway, it would still reveal itself and return to its original state with the passage of time. However, it would definitely take a long time. The most important thing was that the old ancestor-level figures, had personally made a move, but their plan had actually been ruined by a few juniors. It was really embarrassing. Their killing intent was naturally heavy. They kept closing the distance between them and Lu Ming. This made Dandan's face pale. On the other hand, Evil Swordsman was very calm. He enveloped Lu Ming and the others with his own energy and flew at top speed. Suddenly, the flying Evil Swordsman stopped. "Hey, why aren't you running anymore?" Dandan's face turned even paler. "Wait for them," Evil Swordsman said indifferently, and the others were confused. The 2 evil god races' old ancestors were also stunned, and doubt flashed through their eyes. They didn't understand why evil swordsmen suddenly stopped. But they didn't stop and continued to chase. When they were about to approach Lu Ming and the rest, the sky suddenly shone with a dazzling radiance. Figures appeared in the sky. Among these figures there were humans and divine beasts, such as huge and towering divine foxes, great ROCs with wings that could cover the sky, and Qilins covered in scales. There were more than a dozen figures. Kill? Kill all the outsiders. These figures were filled with killing intent. They looked at the two old masters of the evil god race and charged towards them. Lu Ming, Dandan, and the rest were dumbfounded. Obviously, these figures were the immortal imprints left by the peerless powerhouses who died in the ancient times in the heaven realm. He just didn't expect that there would be more than a dozen here. Evil swordsman's eyes dimmed as if reminiscing. He sighed. Back then more than a dozen powerhouses died in battle. It was extremely tragic. These powerhouses were unwilling to die, so before they died they left behind an immortal imprint. Everyone was stunned and then sighed. How many powerhouses were buried in the land under their feet? No wonder evil swordsmen would run here. He knew that the imprints of more than a dozen experts were gathered here. If the two evil god tribe patriarchs were still in their full form, these powerful seals would have been completely useless to them. In fact, they wouldn't even have revealed themselves. However, the other party is now heavily injured. Previously, he had disregarded his injuries and unleashed his full strength, causing his injuries to worsen and his combat strength to be greatly reduced. These seals will be of great use to them. Evil Sword Guest said. That was indeed the case. At this moment, the two evil god race's old ancestors were being attacked by more than 10 marks of experts. For the time being, they were unable to charge out at all. Although these marks were not as powerful as when they were alive, they were still very powerful. With more than a dozen of them working together, they completely surrounded the two evil god race's old ancestors, making it impossible for them to break out. Let's go. We'll go to Two World City. Evil Swordsman said. He led Lu Ming and the others toward Two World City in a flash. Evil Swordsman's speed was astonishing, and he seemed to avoid the marks of the experts here, quickly leaving this ancient battlefield. As soon as they left the ancient battlefield, they arrived at an even more vast area. This area was also a battlefield. There were potholes everywhere and bones could be seen everywhere. The two realms had been fighting on this battlefield for countless years. Countless living beings had fallen on this battlefield. After arriving here, Evil Swordsman's speed became even faster. In an instant he had traveled 10,000 miles and soon, a huge city appeared in front of him. Although Lu Ming had seen many majestic ancient cities, he still gasped when he saw this huge city. The city walls were made of all kinds of extremely hard metals, and there were countless runes flowing on them. The city wall was shockingly high, towering into the clouds. At a glance it was at least 100,000 feet high. One could vaguely see soldiers walking on the city wall. The width of the city wall was even more shocking. With Lu Ming's eyesight he could not see the end of both sides. The Two-World City was called the Two-World City because it separated the two worlds. The Two-World City completely separated the Tai-Ching Heavenly Region from the Hunyuan Heavenly Region and blocked the entrance to the Tai-Ching Heavenly Region. One could only imagine how wide it was. A light shield covered the outside of the city wall. It was a protective shield formed by the formation. The Two-World City was the reason why the Tai-Ching Heavenly Region had not been invaded by the foreign tribes for so many years. It seems like the outsiders have already retreated. One of the three powerful cultivators from Two-World City, an old man, spoke. His name was Song Tianlong. Previously, there had been countless alien races attacking Two-World City. Perhaps they had already received news of the ancient battlefield and retreated. They flew up to the same height as the city wall. The soldiers on the city wall could already see them. Song Tianlong. Open the array and let us in. Song Tianlong said. It's Lord Song Tianlong. Open the array. A voice came from inside the city wall. Soon, the light shield outside the city wall squirmed and a door that could only allow one person to pass through appeared. Everyone walked in separately. It's so spectacular. After entering Two-World City, he stood high in the sky and looked into the distance. Inside the city walls of Two-World City was a vast military camp. There were all kinds of ancient buildings that soared into the sky, and countless people were flying around. It was too spectacular. Previously, everyone was injured, so I will arrange your accommodation. Follow me. Song Tianlong said. Everyone followed him and flew into the distance. Not long after they arrived at a huge palace. Song Tianlong quickly arranged a place for them to stay. In a courtyard. "Dandan, protect me first," Lu Ming said to Dandan. He then sat down cross-legged. Previously, when the divine nine-dragon cauldron flew into his glabella, 9 drops of 9 dragons' blood essence scattered all over his body. In addition, there was another drop of blood that also flew into his body. Lu Ming did not have the time to observe it. First, Lu Ming checked his body. Previously, when the 9 drops of 9 dragon blood essence flew out, he felt a sense of emptiness and the strength of his physical body weakened greatly. But now, not only had his physical strength completely recovered, but he was also full of energy. Some of the injuries he had suffered before had also completely healed. At the same time, he could feel that his physical body was much stronger than before. Could it be that when the blood essence of the 9 dragons flew into the divine 9-dragon cauldron, it brought out some power, so my body transformed again and became stronger? Lu Ming made a guess. Chapter 2219. Chapter 2219 Abnormal Bloodline? Chapter 2219. Chapter 2219 Abnormal Bloodline. Lu Ming felt that his physical body was much stronger than before. With a slight movement, his muscles trembled and a dragon's roar was heard. Lu Ming's blood seemed to have countless tiny 9 dragons jumping around. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. This was a good thing. The stronger his physical body was, the stronger his battle prowess would be, and the more vigorous his life force would be. Then Lu Ming's soul force sank into his sea of consciousness and observed the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The divine 9-dragon cauldron had been floating in his spiritual ocean ever since it had entered. The 9 cauldrons were dull and lightless. Even the patterns on them were deathly still, as if they had lost their spirituality. Lu Ming materialized in his sea of consciousness and observed carefully. He tried to activate the divine 9-dragon cauldron one last time, but there was no reaction at all. The divine 9-dragon cauldron seemed to have lost its spirituality. It seems that the divine 9-dragon cauldron has been greatly damaged in this battle. It has no energy left, can't be restored, and can't be controlled. Lu Ming speculated. At the same time, he felt that it was a pity. If he could control the divine 9-dragon cauldron, he would become a top powerhouse in the heaven realm. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Lu Ming tried, he could not revive the divine 9-dragon cauldron. There was no movement at all. Thinking about it, it made sense. During this period of time, the divine 9-dragon cauldron had gone through 2 battles in a row. When Lu Ming first came, the divine 9-dragon cauldron brought along the 9 dragon veins and fought against the 4 unparalleled powerhouses of the evil god tribe at their peak. In the end, the 4 patriarchs of the evil god tribe were severely injured. The divine 9-dragon cauldron definitely played a huge role. The divine 9-dragon cauldron itself was smashed into the ground and almost lost its spirituality. It was Lu Ming who activated it with the blood essence of the 9 dragons that allowed it to be revived. However, after a battle, the divine 9-dragon cauldron even manifested 9 dragons at the end. However, the 9 dragons self-destructed in the end. The damage to the divine 9-dragon cauldron was extremely serious. It was not difficult to understand why it had fallen to this state. Can you take it out? Lu Ming pondered. After many attempts, he could finally summon the divine 9-dragon cauldron from his sea of consciousness. However, he could not unleash its power. It was like a useless cauldron. Forget it. Lu Ming shook his head. He planned to study the divine 9-dragon cauldron when he had the chance in the future. Right, there was a drop of blood that flew into my body earlier. What kind of creature's blood was that? Where is it? Lu Ming thought of the mysterious drop of blood. Lu Ming was a little worried that a drop of mysterious blood had flown into his body. He carefully searched his body. However, there was no trace of that drop of blood on his body. No, something's wrong with my heart. In the end, Lu Ming found an abnormality in the position of his heart. His soul power sank into his heart, and as expected, he found a drop of blood. This drop of blood was crystal clear, and there was a small true dragon swimming in it. Could this be the blood of a true dragon? Could it be that true dragon? Lu Ming thought of the true dragon that had fought against the evil god tribe in the ancient battlefield. Lu Ming tried to guess if the true dragon was injured and a drop of blood flew into his body. Lu Ming's soul force approached the drop of blood and tried to control it. Suddenly, a dragon's roar burst out from the blood. The dragon's roar was filled with endless majesty and an ancient feeling. It was as if it was an existence from countless years ago that had pierced through time and carried a thick aura of time. The dragon's roar was endless. That drop of blood actually moved and turned into a true dragon. It roared towards the sky, and its pair of dragon eyes were like two suns. Ming was shocked because he realized that the true dragon formed by this drop of blood was exactly the same as the true dragon that had fought against the evil god tribe. At this moment, the true dragon's gaze was not directed at Ming's soul force, but in another direction. It was the direction of Ming's spine, which was also the direction of the third blood meridian. Kill? At this moment, the third bloodline seemed to have resonated with something. A deafening roar came from the third bloodline. This voice was filled with endless killing intent and it almost shattered Ming's soul. Kill? Kill? Roars filled with killing intent came one after another. The drop of blood from the third bloodline seemed to have turned into a vast sea of blood. The blood waves rolled and the killing intent was endless. What's going on? At this moment, Ming realized that things had exceeded his expectations. He could not control the third bloodline at all, nor could he control that drop of true dragon blood. Kill? In the blood sea, the battle cries grew louder and louder. The endless amount of blood turned into a human face, but then it turned into a beast's face and kept changing. At this moment, the endless power in the sea of blood seemed to be about to rush out and annihilate Ming's soul. Ming was trapped in endless killing intent and turned into a killing puppet. No! Ming roared. His soul glowed and he guarded his heart. However, the power of the blood sea was getting stronger and stronger, and its killing intent was overwhelming. At this moment, the true dragon formed by the drop of true dragon blood roared at the sky. It gave off an ancient dragon's might as if it was fighting against the third bloodline. What's going on? Why did he suddenly lose control of his bloodline? Could it be related to this drop of true dragon blood? However, how could the true dragon's blood cause the third bloodline to mutate? It seems like the true dragon's blood is the enemy of the third bloodline. Many thoughts flashed through Ming's mind. He guarded his heart and did not allow the endless killing intent in the third bloodline to be destroyed. Otherwise he would really be reduced to a killing puppet forever. However, the power from the third bloodline was too strong, completely surpassing his. At this moment outside, Dandan was sizing up Ming curiously. He could not hear anything that was happening inside Ming's body, not even the shocking dragon's roar or the terrifying battle cry. It seemed that only Ming could hear it. The only abnormality was that Ming's body was trembling non-stop. His entire body was shrouded in a blood-red light and his expression was somewhat ferocious. What's wrong with this kid? Even a drop of ancestral dragon blood wouldn't be like this, right? Dandan mumbled to herself and paced around Ming, wanting to help him but not knowing how to intervene. At this moment, Ming's body had entered a critical stage. Ming's soul force was enveloped by a layer of blood qi. Endless killing intent was constantly attacking Ming's soul. Kill, kill, kill. Ming's killing intent grew stronger and stronger. It was as if he would only stop after he had killed everyone in the world. Buzz. At this moment, there was another wave coming from Ming's spine. The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel emerged on its own and grew to 100,000 feet tall, emitting endless light. Of course, all of this was Ming's own feeling. The people outside could not see it. The words on the prison-suppressing steel shone even brighter. Finally, 3 words emerged from the steel and pressed down on the third bloodline. Kill? The third bloodline's blood waves surged into the sky and attacked the 3 words. However, the prison-suppressing steel's huge body pressed down. It grew bigger and bigger, standing above the blood sea. A mysterious energy kept pouring into the blood sea. Chapter 2220. The Ancestor of the Dragon Clan, the Ancestral Dragon. Chapter 2220. The Ancestor of the Dragon Clan, the Ancestral Dragon. There were already 2 fragments of the prison-suppressing steel. They were shining with boundless light and suppressing power. They kept pressing down on the blood sea. In the blood sea, the giant face kept changing. It turned into the faces of all kinds of living beings. At the same time, they kept roaring as if they were very unwilling. The true dragon formed by the drop of blood roared and seemed to be suppressing the third bloodline together with the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Gradually, the waves of blood in the third bloodline became smaller and the killing intent faded. Finally, it turned back into the form of a drop of blood and hid in Ming's spine. Following that, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline's glow disappeared and it flew into Ming's spine and disappeared. At this moment, Ming's body stopped trembling. The blood qi in his body had disappeared. The true dragon formed by the drop of blood let out a loud roar before it transformed back into a drop of blood and rushed into Ming's heart. Following that, the drop of blood turned into tiny blood threads that swam through Lu Ming's blood vessels and seeped into his muscles and bones. Kachacha. Lu Ming's muscles began to wriggle and his bones shook. Thunder and the roar of a dragon could be heard. Lu Ming's physical body was being tempered and it was constantly improving. So good. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He could feel that his physical body was becoming stronger rapidly. He could clearly feel the speed at which he was becoming stronger. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming felt that his physical body had doubled in strength and the drop of blood had become smaller. It was only a little, about 1% smaller. At this moment, the drop of blood no longer emitted blood threads. It calmed down and seemed to have fused with the heart. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, he felt sticky all over. It was the impurities discharged from the depths of his body. With a thought, a flame spread out from his body, burning away these impurities. The strength of my physical body has doubled. My combat strength has also increased by a large margin. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. Then he saw a fair and tender face enlarging in front of his eyes. The face scrutinized Lu Ming left and right. Dandan, what are you looking at? Lu Ming pursed his lips. Kid, you have a lot of secrets. Dandan's eyes darted around, becoming more and more curious. Right, let me ask you something. What blood is this? Lu Ming focused his mind on his heart. With a thought, the drop of blood appeared on his fingertip. A true dragon could be seen swimming inside. Dandan's eyes were wide open, staring at the drop of blood. Could this be the blood of the injured true dragon? Lu Ming said. Fuck, let me tell you that true dragon wasn't a true dragon, it was formed from this drop of blood. Dandan said. What? Lu Ming was shocked. The true dragon that had fought against the evil god tribe's old ancestor in the ancient battlefield was actually formed from this drop of blood. It was just a drop of blood, but it actually had such shocking power? Are you surprised? Let me tell you, this isn't essence blood, it's just a drop of blood. If I'm not wrong, this should be a drop of ordinary blood from the ancestral dragon. Dandan said, her eyes still staring at the drop of blood. Slowly, they became fiery and revealed a greedy look, as if she wanted to swallow the drop of blood in one gulp. Lu Ming quickly kept the drop of blood and kept it in his heart. Ancestral dragon? What's an ancestral dragon? Lu Ming was even more curious because he had never heard of this name. Ancestral dragon, that's a legend. It said that he's the oldest true dragon in the world, the ancestor of all dragons, the first true dragon in the Tianyuan world. Dandan said slowly, her eyes seemed to show a trace of respect. The ancestor of all dragons, the first true dragon. Lu Ming was also shocked. This was incredible. Could it be that the ancestral dragon is stronger than the 9 dragons? Lu Ming continued to ask. Nonsense, what are 9 dragons? The 9 dragons are just a mutation of the real dragon. They are more talented than ordinary real dragons, which is why they have such achievements. However, they are nothing compared to the ancestral dragon. Legend has it that the ancestral dragon is a truly invincible existence, above the heavenly Tao. In other words, even the heavenly Tao has to submit to him. How is this possible? The celestial the Arch controls the heavenly Tao, which is the pinnacle of martial Tao. He's on equal footing with the heavenly Tao, so how can there be any living being that can transcend the heavenly Tao? Lu Ming widened his eyes in disbelief. In his knowledge, the celestial emperor was the limit. He was on the same level as the heavenly Tao, had no heavenly tribulation, was immortal, and lived as long as the heaven and earth. However, there was actually a living being that could transcend above the heavenly Tao. This really broke his understanding. Finally, Lu Ming looked at Dandan and asked suspiciously, Are you bragging again? Who's tricking you? Let me tell you, I was lucky enough to see the ancestral dragon once, so I'm very familiar with his aura. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. The drop of blood you got was a drop of the ancestral dragon's blood. I guess it was left by the ancestral dragon to suppress that passageway. Dandan said. No way. Does that mean the ancestral dragon has an enemy? Lu Ming's heart trembled. The ancestral dragon left a drop of blood to suppress the passage. Obviously, the ancestral dragon was from the heaven realm. However, he only left a drop of blood and his real body was not there. This meant that the ancestral dragon had an enemy. If it was really as Dandan said, that the ancestral dragon was that powerful, then the situation was really serious. Could it be that there were such terrifying existences on the side of the alien race? Dandan also frowned, and her face was rare to see. She said, Obviously there are also existences at that level in the alien tribes. Otherwise, the heaven realm wouldn't have fallen to this point. Once the ancestral dragon appears, even the celestial emperor can't defeat him. Unfortunately, I've never seen an existence at that level. Lu Ming sighed. The war between the two worlds was more tragic than he had imagined. With his cultivation he could not interfere at all. The difference was too great. Ancestral dragon blood? He asked, why would the blood of the ancestral dragon appear on me? Is it related to the blood essence of the 9 dragons? It's most likely the case. Kid, you are really blessed. Even 1 am envious of you. Although this drop of blood is only an ordinary drop of blood of the ancestor dragon and it has been consumed in the previous battle, it is still extraordinary. If you can refine it, the benefits will be amazing. I'm so jealous of you. What virtue do you have? At the end of her sentence, Dandan's eyes turned red. She was really jealous. He paced around Lu Ming, wishing he could bite Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt his scalp turning numb. He chided, "What are you looking at? Get lost. By the way, how many days have we been back?" "It's already been 10 days. Dandan licked her lips. 10 days? That's fast. Lu Ming muttered. He felt that only a short while had passed. He did not expect that it would be 10 days. I wonder how Senior Evil Swordsman is doing? Lu Ming thought of Evil Swordsman Jian, Feiliu, Mulan, and a few others. He walked out of the courtyard and headed to another one. Chapter 22-21. Chapter 22-21, To the G11 Family? Chapter 22-21. Chapter 22-21, To the G11 Family. The courtyard where Evil Swordsman was staying was near Lu Ming and the rest. Senior Sister Mulan. When Lu Ming walked into Evil Swordsman's courtyard, he happened to see Mulan alone in Rhe courtyard, cultivating a set of sword technique. Mulan stopped her cultivation when she saw Lu Ming. She glided over with a bright smile on her face. "Lu Ming, have you recovered from your injuries? One went to see you 2 days ago and saw that you were still cultivating." "I'm completely fine. It's been many years since we last met. Senior sister, you've become even more beautiful." Lu Ming smiled and teased her. "Is that so?" Mulan's smile grew wider. She then pretended to sigh and said, "It's a pity that some people don't know how to appreciate it." "How could this be? Who doesn't know how to appreciate it? They're simply blind." Lu Ming continued to smile, which made Mulan's smile even brighter. "Right, where's Senior Evil Swordsman? How's his injury?" Lu Ming asked. "You've come at a bad time. Senior Evil Swordsman left yesterday and returned to the ancient battlefield with Jian Feiliu," Mulan said. "He left?" Lu Ming was slightly stunned. "Senior Evil Swordsman said that he'd better live in that ancient battlefield where he's more free," Mulan said. Lu Ming nodded. Perhaps Evil Swordsman had many comrades in that ancient battlefield. In the war that year, countless people had died and countless friends had been buried there. How could he not feel pain? Senior Evil Swordsman also said that although that passage has completely collapsed, it's estimated that it'll reappear in 100 years. Mulan said again, frowning. On the other side of the passage was Yuan continent, where her family and friends were. 100 years. The Outlanders won't be able to get through in 100 years. Lu Ming's eyes opened and closed, revealing a strong sense of confidence. "Oh, Senior Sister Apprentice 111, leave here soon, come with us," Lu Ming said. "All right." Mulan nodded. Now that she had obtained the inheritance of a peerless master, her cultivation was already at the limit of emperor-to-be. It was only a matter of time before she became an emperor. Once one became a monarch, as long as they survived the heavenly monarch tribulation, they would have a long lifespan. So now she would no longer run away. She wanted to grasp her own happiness. The two of them went back to the courtyard where Lu Ming used to be and found Dandan. Not long after, they found Song Tianlong and bade him farewell. They then flew toward the east of Two World City. In ancient times, Dandan knew a person who had not even become a sovereign but had already mastered many laws. That person had been researching for his entire life. In his later years, he made a major breakthrough and might be able to help Lu Ming find a way to become a saint emperor. Now, they were going to that person's family to find that method. That family was located in the southern part of the Taiqing Heavenly Region. The Taiqing Heavenly Region could be said to be the largest heavenly region among the 9 heavenly regions in Rhe Heaven Realm. It was as vast as the Yuan continent. The Two-World City was located in the westernmost part of Rhe Taiqing Heavenly Region. Not long after, they flew out of the Two-World City. What came into view were vast mountains. The peaks rose into the clouds one after another, as if there was no end to them. The Heaven Realm's original chi is indeed richer than Rhe primordial realms, and the nomological laws are also clearer. Perhaps only the strongest land in RHE Primordial Realm's 10 lands, the land of divine destiny, can compare. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Then the three of them took to the air and flew away. He was very familiar with the Heaven Realm. They flew over mountains and there was a public teleportation area. They were going to rake the teleportation array to the south of the Taiqing Heavenly Region. Half a month later, they had arrived at the southern part of the Taiqing Heavenly Region and were flying in an isolated area. At a glance, this place was a boundless sea of bamboo. Whether it was a high mountain or a plain, it was covered with bamboo. There were all kinds of bamboo. Dandan, we've been searching for so many days? Did you take RHE wrong way? Lu Ming asked. How is that possible? The Gu family is in this area, living in seclusion in a purple bamboo forest. They want to move if there's no major problem. Dandan said. The three of them looked around, searching for RHE purple bamboo forest. Another half a day passed. I found it. Dandan shouted and flew forward. Lu Ming and Mulan followed him. Soon, a sea of bamboo appeared in front of them. It was all purple bamboo. At first glance, it was a purple ocean. It was a purple bamboo and even IRS leaves were purple. The bamboo pole was sparkling and translucent, as if it was carved out of beautiful purple jade. In the depths of the bamboo forest they saw a palace. It was extremely elegant and was embellished in the boundless purple ocean. Haha, so many years have passed and they are still here. Let's go. Dandan smiled and flew towards the palace. But before they could fly far, a few figures rushed out from the bamboo forest below and blocked them. There were a total of 3 people, 1 middle-aged man and 2 young men. They all had one thing in common. They all wore jade crowns and white robes, looking very refined. How many of you? This is my home, may I know why you have come to my home? The middle-aged man cupped his fists and said politely. We came to my home to find someone, of course. Dandan said casually. Looking for someone? I wonder who you are looking for? The middle-aged man asked. Lone Star Sky, are Gu Xingyue and the others around? I'll come and find them. Dandan said. His words made the 3 Gu family members' expressions change drastically, becoming somewhat unsightly. Little brother, the 2 you mentioned are my Gu family's ancestors. Moreover, it's too disrespectful for you to call them by their names. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with anger, but he suppressed it and said unhappily. What disrespect? They're just my juniors. If one don't call them by their names, what should I call them? Dandan pouted. How dare you? I think you're here to find trouble. Do you really think that my family is easy to bully? A young man shouted angrily. At the same time, a long sword appeared in his hand, and soared into the sky. The middle-aged man's expression was also very ugly. How old did she look? He actually said that the 2 ancestors of the Gu family were his juniors. It was obvious that he was here to find trouble and insult the Gu family. Nest 111 tell you the truth. These people actually want to fight. Dandan cried out. Lu Ming was speechless. How could you say that? It would be strange if others weren't angry at you for saying this. At this time, in the depths of RHE Sea of Bamboo, there were figures flying out. It was obvious that the commotion here had alarmed the Gu family. There were dozens of people in total, some old and some young, but they all had one thing in common. They all wore snow-white long robes. No matter if they were men or women, they all looked very elegant. What's going on? An old man with a flowing white beard asked. Before the Gu family's people could answer, Dandan shouted first, They're called the Lone Star Sky. Gu Xingyue, come out and see me. My old friends are here to see them. How audacious. How dare you insult my Gu family's ancestor? Instantly, the Gu family members were all furious and roared angrily. What? Ancestor, could it be that Gu Xingyue and Gu Xingkong are both dead? No way. Dandan shouted. Chapter 22-22, Fighting Against the Geniuses of the Gu Clan. Chapter 22-22, Fighting Against the Geniuses of the Gu Clan. Lu Ming was speechless. Why did this guy say anything? As expected, the Gu family members were furious. Even the elders were furious, and a terrifying aura emanated from their bodies. Nest, Great Emperor, this time it's all because of this guy, Dandan? Lu Ming could sense that 2 of them were exuding the aura of a great emperor. Hey, what are you guys doing? The Gu family is known as a gentleman's family, and all of you claim to be gentlemen. So you also want to bully the weak and win with numbers? Dandan shouted. Hearing this, the eyes of the elders and middle-aged men of the Gu family flashed. They all concealed their auras, but the anger in their eyes could not be extinguished. You have to be taught a lesson for insulting the ancestors of my Gu family. Otherwise you really think that my Gu family is easy to bully. My Gu family will not bully the weak with our strength and win with numbers. Today let me meet you. A cold voice was heard, and then a young man stepped out. This young man was wearing a jade crown and a long robe. He had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He was very handsome. Seeing this young man walk out, the Gu family didn't stop him. Instead, they looked confident as if they had faith in this young man. Your cultivation level is too low. I'm not interested. Lu Ming, I'll leave it to you. Dandan waved her hand, showing no interest at all, which made the young man in white even angrier. Im Guing Zhong, who can give me some pointers? The white-robed young man held back his anger and cupped his fists. This Gu family, each and every one of them is really gentlemanly. Lu Ming thought that he had heard Dandan mention this lonely family on the way here. In Dandan's words, the Gus were a group of wooden blocks with rigid brains, not knowing how to be flexible and self-proclaimed gentlemen. Now that he saw it, it was indeed so. However, Dandan had a good relationship with a few people from the Lone family. Lu Ming. Please. Lu Ming stepped forward and cupped his fists. Be careful. Gu Yingchong said. Then the sound of a sword rang out. A long sword appeared in Gu Yingchong's hand. An extremely bright sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. 3-star illusionary emperor. Lu Ming could tell Gu Yingchong's cultivation level the moment he attacked. Boom. Lu Ming made his move. He was very direct as he struck out with his palm. This palm did not use any laws. It was just the explosion of physical body and saint power. Boom. Lu Ming's palm landed on the other party's sword gleam. The sword gleam trembled and howled. In the end, the sword gleam collapsed and Lu Ming was forced to retreat dozens of meters. What powerful physical strength. Are you an immemorial body cultivator? No, your power is saint energy. You haven't become a saint emperor yet. At first, Gu Ying thought that Lu Ming was an immemorial body cultivator. But then he realized that Lu Ming was using saint energy. Once one became a saint emperor, the saint energy would be transformed into world energy. However, Lu Ming was still using saint energy, which meant that he had not become a saint emperor. This shocked Gu Yingchong. The other members of the Gu family were also shocked. To be able to receive a heavy blow from Gu Ying even before becoming an emperor, this strength was shocking enough. One had to know that Gu Yingzhong was the #1 genius of the Gu family. He was a character that only appeared once every 100,000 years. Use your full strength. Like this, you can't win against me. Lu Ming said. He knew that Gu Yingchong had not used his full strength. The attack just now was just a test. You haven't become a saint emperor yet. Although your battle strength is amazing, you're no match for me. Gu Ying spoke again full of confidence. You didn't go all out in the battle, how do you know? Lu Ming was also very confident. Since that's the case, let's fight. Gu Yingzhong's fighting spirit was revealed. His long sword trembled and the sound of the sword was endless. The power of laws burst out, making Gu Yingzhong's sword chi even more astonishing. 2 types of laws. One is an ultimate law and the other is a type of king path law. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Whoosh! The lone shadow moved again. He became one with his sword and turned into a sword light, charging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and the sword of death condensed. At the same time, long rivers of laws appeared on his body. This time the Gu family members were really shocked. Heavens, what did one just see? 4 types of laws. He has control over 4 types of laws. He hasn't even become a saint emperor yet. How can he control 4 types of nomological laws? It's said that my Gu family has an ancestor who was extremely talented. Before he became a sovereign, he had also mastered many laws. The Gu family's crowd burst into heated discussions. Gu Yingzhong's eyes also flickered, but his sword light did not stop and continued to attack Lu Ming. Bus. Lu Ming waved the sword of death and met the attack. Boom. The 2 of them collided and a shocking collision erupted. Sword chi raged and many of the Gu family's people retreated. After the 2 of them collided, their bodies trembled and they retreated tens of meters. The difference was that Lu Ming retreated a shorter distance. He's at the 2nd realm of the strongest laws. He's not weaker than LAN Yun, Yanxi and the others. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Gu Yingchong's 2 types of laws, the strongest of which had already entered the 2nd realm, and his cultivation was at the 3-star illusionary emperor level. Without a doubt he was a top-notch heaven's favorite. If it was before, Lu Ming's sword of death only contained 4 types of laws and would not be a match for such a prodigy. However, due to the condensation of the ancestral dragon blood, Lu Ming's physical body was twice as strong as before. This also made his combat strength stronger. Therefore, Lu Ming had the upper hand by casting 4 types of laws. Again, the battle intent in Gu Yingzhang's eyes grew stronger, and his aura also grew stronger. 3 types of laws. Lu Ming's eyes flickered slightly. A third law appeared on the lone shadow. This was a king path law, and it seemed to have reached the second realm. This was a heaven's favorite who was stronger than LAN Yun, Yanxi, and the others. Whoosh, whoosh. The sword light tore through the air and headed for Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the sword of death and charged at the other party. Clang, clang. The two of them kept clashing in the air. The sword chi was overflowing, and the sound of the sword was thousands of miles away. Fortunately, someone from the Gu family had acted and created a light screen to block the purple bamboo forest below. Otherwise, the purple bamboo forest within 10,000 miles would have been destroyed by the sword chi. The two of them were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged hundreds of moves. The more he fought, the faster Lu Ming's chi and blood circulated. A dragon's roar was heard from his body, and a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his skin. Lu Ming himself was also stunned. Back then, when his cultivation base was still weak, dragon scales had already appeared on the surface of his skin because of his 9-dragon bloodline. However, as his cultivation level increased, he could control the bloodline of the 9 dragons at will. Dragon scales no longer appeared on his body. But now, when he circulated his body to the extreme, a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his body. Perhaps this is related to the ancestral dragon blood. Lu Ming thought of the ancestral dragon blood. Previously, he had refined a portion of the ancestral dragon's blood to allow his body to expand. Now that the battle was at its most intense, his blood chi was surging and boiling, causing the dragon scales to appear. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.